Have you ever asked yourself, does he really love me, or is this all just pretend? And if he is pretending, how do I spot it before I mistakenly give my everything to this man? Well, that's exactly why on today's show we're going to be discussing 10 things a man won't do if he really loves you. That way you can stop yourself from over-investing into a man who doesn't love and care for you the way that you love and care. Okay, so point number one is about disrespect. Now, I'm going to talk about something very specific that might trigger a bunch of you because you might have been in this situation before. If a man truly loves you, his feeling that he needs to protect and provide for you is going to come within him naturally. Now, we're going to emphasize for this key point, the protect part. Now, not just being protective over you as it relates to like another man attacking you. I'm talking also about being protective over your emotions and over people attacking you emotionally. For example, you meet his mom or his best friend. And in the process of you meeting them, they begin talking down on you, berating you with insults, insulting you to your face, insulting you and insulting his relationship with you, right? And some of you might be thinking, wow, does that really happen? It does happen. And especially with family members, it can be very difficult because they can feel, the guy can feel like, oh, it might not be my place to step in and say something, even though clearly my partner, my woman, is being disrespected right in front of my face. So let me let you in on a little bit of secret. When a man really loves you, he will not have a problem checking and stepping in the middle here and checking whether it be his mother, his father, his best friend, his cousin, whoever it is that is disrespecting you or disrespecting your relationship in front of him. Because when he cares about you and he cares about your needs and he cares about your happiness and he's seeing someone overtly disrespect you and he's seeing the fact that you're unhappy or you're upset or you're saddened by the way that someone is speaking to you or approaching you, he's going to step in no matter who it is, because as his wife or as his future wife or his current girlfriend, his number one priority in terms of who he's trying to make happy, even before his own mother and even before his best friend, will be you. So something for you to look out for, because I know some of you have been in this situation where it's like, well, is it supposed to be me or his best friend? Is it supposed to be me or his mother? In the scenario in which his mother is insulting you, in the scenario in which his mother is talking down on you and talking down on the relationship and saying, you're not good enough for my son and talking to you crazy, he should be stepping in if he truly cares and loves for you. If he's not, that's a clear sign that he really doesn't have that same level of emotional investment as you're imagining that he has. Because no matter what his relationship with his mom is, or his dad, or his best friend, there should never be a scenario in which that person is allowed to disrespect you and just feel like they can walk away scot-free without any consequences, without being addressed, especially by him as a man. Are we on the same page so far? Okay. All right, let's hop into point number two. I know some of you have been in that scenario. Point number two here. I drew the mom real big. She was real scary in that one. Point number two here. All right. So for point number two, another one of these that I know some of you get a lot when it comes to men, okay? So we'll do this like this. All right. It's gonna look weird because you guys know my drawing not that good, but you'll understand what I mean when I explain it. So let's think of this like this. It looks really funny. Let's think of this like this. Oh, so for point number two, we're going to discuss threats. And this is one that I know some of you might have experienced when you deal with really toxic guys or toxic relationships. A guy doesn't really love you as you're imagining he does if he's using threats to control you. The reason I'm drawing this kind of like a ventriloquist, you know, you got the threats here and you got the string on the heart, is because this is an element of control that people will use, men will use when they're trying to manipulate you, not because they actually care and love for you, even though in the way that they'll threaten you, it'll sound like they're threatening you because of how much they love you, but it's not that. Let me explain and give you an example. An example of a threat used to control is, hey, you're upset. You don't like how things are going in this relationship. You're ready to walk away. I can feel that you're ready to walk away. I'm not going to let you walk away. You want to hear something crazy that's going to knock your socks off? If you break up with me, this is where the threat comes in. If you dare to walk away and not speak to me and have standards and stand up for yourself and have self-respect, I will unalive myself. And this is how they'll paint it. I'm going to go to that bridge. You know the bridge I'm talking about in the city. I'm going to go to that bridge. I'm literally going to stand on the edge and I'm going to jump off of that bridge because I can't bear the idea of not being with you, not being in a relationship with you. My life cannot continue unless I'm with you and we're in a relationship. So if you think you're going to walk away from me, you're not. And this is how the threat kind of sounds like it's actually love, but it's not. They'll say, I love you so much, I literally don't want to live life unless you're with me. So if you're not with me, I'm unaliving myself. It's done for me. They'll say this, I have nothing else to live for. And so as they're describing that way, you might think to yourself, oh, he really loves me, because the way that he's talking about how literally he can't be on this earth unless he's with me must come from a place of love, but it really doesn't. It's actually the complete opposite. The threat is coming as a way to control you and control your emotions, because they understand if they can tug at your heartstrings, right, with these threats, and make them sound in a way that they know is going to affect you emotionally, that will give them the best opportunity to get the type of control they want over you. Even though it feels like you're making a decision to continue being with that guy, you're really not. Because if you had your own way, you would not be with that guy. But the way that he's presenting this threat, this situation, makes you feel like you urgently have to make this decision, or you're pressured to make this decision to be with him and be in a relationship with him. How many of you have ever experienced something like that with a guy that you're with, where he'll say, you've got to be with me or else? Okay, and sometimes the threat might even come in a different way. The threat might come in the version where they're saying, hey, if you're not with me, I'm going to do this to your family, or I'm going to do this to your career, or I'm going to do this to your, your friendships. I'm going to expose this about you. You don't want people to know these things about you. I might just have to tell them if you don't want to be with me, right? They use whatever they know will tug at your heartstrings the most. Whatever they learn is the most important to you over the course of time. They'll use that to manipulate you, to get you to do what they want to do, which usually consists of being with them, but also being with them in a capacity that doesn't require them to address whatever the actual issues are in the relationship, right? Because you notice, even in the threat of I'll unalive myself if we're not together, it usually doesn't consist of actually I'll just change or adjust my behavior or address the situations and things that are making us not want to be in this relationship anymore, or making you not want to be in the relationship anymore. Very interesting how they do that. Okay. Let's hop into point number 3 of things a man won't do if he really, really loves you. Okay. Point number 3 here. Let's discuss this. Love these. We love these. I'll draw this like this. We're going to draw a simple Venn diagram here. Very simple. Very simple. Okay? All right. Perfecto. Okay. Now, let's have this discussion here. So for point number 3, we're going to discuss emotions. If a guy truly loves you, one of the most important things that he won't do is invalidate your feelings and your emotions. When men get into relationships with women, mature men, they understand that part of being with a woman means that some of the things she wants, some of the things she desires, some of the ways she acts and thinks and speaks and approaches life will be different from how I approach life as a woman. That's not a bad thing. In fact, it's a great thing, because the way that she'll contrast me will be perfect for my growth and her growth, that we can grow together and be one whole that is much better than our just individual pieces, okay? Now, the reason that I'm talking about this and discussing this is something that you may have encountered in your relationships with men is that he'll care about certain things that are important to him: making money, buying a nice car, living in a big house, all of those great things. Then there's things that you care about as a woman because those are more important to you, right? Your emotions might be heightened in certain areas because you're just a more emotional being. Nothing wrong with that. And one of the things that some men will do when they're showing you that they don't really love you is, let's say you come back from work and you're like really stressed out and overwhelmed with work because you've had so much on your plate. There's this coworker that you hate. Your boss is giving you a bunch of projects that you know you can't finish on time. And it's just really getting and weighing in on your mental. So you come home and you're crying and you just want some nice cuddles and you just want him to spend some time with you. And when you get home, he's playing video games. And when he's playing video games, you're like, please, can we just have a moment together? I just want to talk to you. I just want to lay down with you because I've had a rough day. And he's like, come on, you're being overly dramatic about this. Why are you such a drama queen? It's just a bad day at work. You go back, you make money. Who cares about your boss? Who cares about your coworker? Why are you crying? You don't need to cry. This is so annoying. Oh my God, I hate this, right? These are the type of things that you got to be looking out for, that you got to be spotting if you're trying to determine if this guy really loves you or if he's just kind of pretending about it. Because emotion should never be a burden to a man, because he's supposed to come into a relationship, if he's a mature man, with the understanding that you as a woman are going to have emotions. And sometimes the things that you care about, sometimes the things that are make you emotional, sometimes the things that upset you might not be the things that he cares about or would get emotional about or would upset him, but that's okay. They don't need to be the same things. And when a man really loves you, he embraces the fact that you feel things. He embraces the fact that you have emotions. He embraces the fact that you think and approach life differently than him. When he doesn't love you, he finds it difficult to embrace that. In fact, that feels a lot like a burden to him. And so a lot of times his response is that of, you are a burden to me. Or I hate the fact that I have to go through this with you. Or I hate the fact that I have to consistently console you. Or you have emotions and you feel things and you cry. This is so awkward for me. I'd rather do something else. Okay, right? Someone said, I realized that I've never had a real relationship. Sometimes it'd be like that, man. Sometimes it'd be like that. Until you're out of it, you don't really take in. That's not what a relationship's supposed to be like. Let's hop into point number 4, okay? Point number 4 here. Let's do this like this. Okay. Point number 4. Love this one. Because I know a lot of you mistake this one a lot of times when it comes to men, okay? So let's do this like this. We'll say, okay. Or actually, you know what? This will be a better visual. I just thought of a better way to visualize this for you all. I was gonna do the bars, but this will make more sense visually. Let's do this instead. And then we'll have this here like that. So, okay, this is perfect. I love this. All right. Okay, so for point number 4, we're going to discuss time. Now, one of the things that I want you to be paying attention to, because it's hard to accept, and this is one of those that I see all the time when I answer your private questions, and you guys send me in personal questions about your situation, that always becomes confusing, that I want to let you in on this secret so you're not confused anymore. Anytime you're with a guy and you find yourself struggling in the relationship because the amount of time you want to spend with him is not nearly at the same frequency as the amount of time he seems to want to spend with you, then you're at an imbalance that tells you exactly where you're really at in the relationship and exactly where he's at mentally. Let me give you an example of that. Let's say you've been seeing a guy for the past 4 months and you're like, damn, I see this guy once every 2 weeks we go on a date, if that. And I find myself struggling because I really want to see him more than that. Like so much more, to the point where like I feel like we should be seeing each other damn near every other day, which I wouldn't advise. But let's just say you feel like that's how much you would want to see him. And he seems like anytime you guys hang out, it only really comes at your suggestion, or you have to hint at it a bunch of times. And even then, the amount and the frequency at which you're hanging out, 2 weeks is way too long in between for you guys to spend time together, right? So the reason I give this example is because one of the things that men won't do when they really love you is they won't make you feel like the frequency at which they want to see you, right, is so imbalanced to the frequency that you want to see them, that you end up thinking to yourself, like, maybe I should be the one suggesting we hang out here, or do this week, or go here, or spend some more time, right? As soon as you find yourself doing that, that imbalance tells you exactly how he really feels about you. Because when a man really loves you, really cares for you, you actually are the one in the situation where you're telling him, okay, chill. I know you like to see me. I know you like to spend time with me, but I've got this to do. I can't hang out every day. I can't, do things with you every single day or every other day. I've got some things to do here. I've got some things to do there. We need to take a chill pill. You need to take a chill pill because I have other things in my life going on, right? That is actually the scenario that you should be finding yourself in if a guy truly loves you and cares about you, right? That's why I drew this kind of weight scale, where the man lead, as it relates to, I should even put here so you guys aren't confused, right? Whether you want to call it hangouts or whether you want to call it dates, right? The man lead, in the sense that he is having the desire to see you, the desire to spend time with you, is much more on his end, right? Heavy on his end than it is on yours. If you find yourself emotionally that you think to yourself, if I were to put this on a balance here, I feel like it's actually me in this position where my desire to see him and the frequency at which I want to see him way outweighs his desire to see me and his frequency at which he would want to see me, then you already know you're in the wrong relationship with the wrong man. Because chances are the guy you're with doesn't actually love you or care for you the way that you're imagining that he does. Okay? Does that make sense? Right? Macy says, what happens if you feel a shift? Well, if you start to feel a shift, as in your relationship goes from this to going from that, you need to be asking yourself and your partner a couple of questions, because this doesn't just flip into this for no reason. Now, I'm not saying that it's happening because it's your fault, but this is where you have to do a little bit more digging and a little bit more investigating as to, is there someone else in the picture now all of a sudden? Has something changed or adjusted in your life, in your career, within yourself, your mental, that has changed your approach to this relationship? Because a lot of times it's internal and guys will hold stuff in. They won't talk to you about it. And then as things change within their own mind, within their own mental, within their own spirit, they don't communicate it to you. And then all of a sudden, now you find yourself being in this position instead of in this position. Okay, right? All right, let's hop into point number 5. Point number 5, chat. Damn, we rolling through these. Okay, I got a lot of energy today. Point number 5. Okay. Point number 5 here. We'll do this like this. So we'll draw a manly man here. with some, he's got a receding hairline there. And we'll do like this. Chat, you guys know I can't draw that well, but you'll get the gist when I explain this. I just need better faces. That's what I need. There we go. There we go. Okay. So, whatever, we got it. It makes enough sense. So point number 5 is about selfishness. Now, one of the things that men won't do when they really love you is they won't make every situation in the relationship about themselves, because there should be a natural feeling within him as a man that happy wife, happy life. I am here as a man to serve my woman and make sure that at all times she feels comfortable, she feels safe, she's happy, she's satisfied with the relationship that we're in. And so much so that as a man, I will sacrifice my happiness, I will sacrifice my needs, I'll sacrifice my own comfortability just so that my woman can be satisfied. Now, the reason I drew kind of a spotlight here is because there's different ways in which you'll be able to easily spot when you're with a man who has this level of selfishness in the relationship, where they're thinking so much about themselves that they literally neglect your own happiness, and they don't even sometimes notice that you're unhappy. That's how much of a spotlight they have on themselves and their own happiness in their own mind and in their own spirit. Let me give you a couple of examples of that. And you're not going to like some of these, because some of these are going to be kind of traumatizing for you. An example of that would be in your love life, in your intimacy life with that guy, and you find yourself very dissatisfied, to say the least, with the way that intimacy is going. Because yes, you like to please him, you like to give him pleasure, but you find that after you give him pleasure, there's literally nothing left for you. In the sense that, like, he doesn't seem to have the same attentiveness, the same attention to detail, the same care about whether or not you're being pleased, whether or not you're satisfied, whether or not you're enjoying your love life, your sex life, your intimacy together. And it gets to the point where you're starting to question, does this man not know that I'm actually never having, or I should say, I'm never getting there? I'm never climaxing, I'm never getting what I need, I'm never satisfied, or does he just not care, right? This is a perfect example of the type of selfishness that will arise in a relationship when a man is only thinking about himself, only thinking about his own pleasure. Outside of the bedroom, another example of that would be when it comes to your date or the things that you guys do together. He's only interested in doing things together that consist of things that he loves to do, and never willing to step into your world or even caring about what your world consists of in the things that you find interesting. Let's say, for the sake of example, he's like, yeah, we can play video games together. We can go watch a football game together, even though you hate football and don't understand it, right? Even though you hate video games and you don't get them. But when it comes to going to the opera house or gardening or going to a pottery class, he's super uninterested, to the point where he's like, no, I'm not going to that. I literally, even if you beg me, even if you ask me a million times, I'm not going to your stupid pottery class. I'm not going out to garden with you. That's so boring. That's so unnecessary. I'm not doing the things that you would enjoy, because I'm not willing to sacrifice my happiness just so you can be happy around me. Okay? And trust me, that happens a lot more than you're imagining, especially when you get into the cycle of wanting to please a man, wanting him to be happy, because obviously he's your man, and your natural nature as a woman is to feel like, I want to serve my man, I want him to be in a good mood, I want him to be satisfied and happy. You can get so deep into that place mentally that you forget your happiness also matters, and you can actually forget that your happiness is actually being neglected, because he himself is only focused on his own happiness as well. Does that make sense? Okay. Someone says, how do you encourage him to learn how to make you get there without making him feel insufficient? Well, that's always a team effort, right? And learning, I'll say this, Joy, and any one of you wondering this, because intimacy is a sensitive topic that I know a lot of you don't want to discuss because it's hard to kind of talk to your man, especially when you're not being satisfied. The process of getting what you want sexually in a relationship always starts with your man's desire to actually get you there. So a man, you can't teach a man something that he doesn't have a desire to learn. So the number one thing you want to be looking for even before you actually sleep with that guy is, does he actually have a desire to learn your body, understand what gets you there, understand your mind, understand how to pleasure you? Not even necessarily always just intimacy wise, but in general. If he doesn't seem to have a desire to learn you and understand you, learn what makes you happy, learn what satisfies you, then you're never going to be able to teach that man anything, because any sort of teachings that you give, any sort of advice that you give will always come to like a closed mind, in the sense that he's not ready to receive any of that information, because none of that information is relevant to him when he's in the mind frame that as long as I'm getting my pleasure, I don't care what you find pleasurable. Fake your climaxes all you need to, because that will just make me feel easier, or be easier on my mind, the fact that you're not actually getting pleasure. As long as you can fake it, we don't have to discuss it. I can keep getting pleasure and I'm all good. I'm just being honest with you. Some men are like that. They can't see it, then it doesn't exist, okay? If it's not right in front of them, it doesn't get addressed, they're not going to address it, right? And so you have to be aware as a woman which kind of man you're dating, and be honest with yourself about that, and not waste your time and energy trying to teach a man who doesn't even want to be taught or doesn't care to be taught. Does that make sense, right? Let's hop into point number 5. Point number 5. Okay. Very, very important. That selfishness will eat you alive. I see that with a lot of women. Actually, I see it a lot with intimacy with women. All right, let's hop into point number 6. Okay. Point number 6. Oh yeah, you guys hate this one. Yeah. You guys hate this one. I know you hate this one. Trust me, I know you hate this one. We'll do this. We have you here. There's going to be 2 women on the screen. I know you hate this one, so we're going to have a nice conversation about this. I know this one bothers you. And I'll call her this. All right, so let me see how I can draw her here. Let me give her some nice lashes. Let me give her, you know how the girls, they love the hair down to the crack. Yeah, we'll give her this one. Yeah, we'll give her this one. And then she got a nice nose job right there. Yup. And then, okay, yup. Super skinny waist, yup. Okay, we gonna go like that. You know how the girls do. It's 2025. You know how they do now. So it's like that, okay, and like that. That's actually a pretty accurate description. 2025 type-ish. You know what I'm saying? Okay, perfect. So point number 6 is about comparison. One of the things that a man won't do if he really loves you is he won't constantly compare you, one, to standards that are very unrealistic, but even just in general to women that are always going to make you feel worse about yourself, right? Because if a guy really loves you, then his true and honest focus is on you. Not that he can't see or find other women attractive, because that's not realistic, but in the sense that when he loves you and truly is invested in you in this relationship, his attraction is so heavy and deep for you that he doesn't bother comparing your attractiveness to someone else's, because the unique traits about you, the unique look of you, is what he embraces, what he loves, and what he appreciates, okay? So let's say, for the sake of example, right, you are more of a girl next door look. That's your look, right? You dress, let's just say, modest. And this girl, we call her And this is what me and my friends call them, a BBL bandit. Okay, that's actually what me and my friends actually call them. Okay, and she has, you know, the baddie look. We'll call it the baddie pack. Okay, and so in this look, right? Let's say every time one of these IG baddies walks by, anytime one of these IG baddies is on the TV, anytime one of these IG baddies, you see them at the club, he's always making a comment. Damn, her butt like a basketball. Your butt's not nearly that big. Hey, I don't think you could ever, even if you got a BBL, your BBL would definitely not look like her BBL. Damn, she got that hair going down to her crack. You could never grow hair like that. That's crazy. I don't think you could grow no hair like that, right? And this constant comparison is one, it's going to eat away at your ego. It's also going to eat away at your self-esteem. But it's a perfect example of how he really feels about you. Because even if a guy had a thought, oh, that woman is attractive, one, he's never going to say that if he's a smart man. And number two, he also will embrace the fact that the woman I'm with is attractive. The woman I'm with not only is attractive, but she brings so many other things to the table that are so valuable that I would never in a million years say that because I think another woman is also attractive, that she's somehow better or even in the same league as my woman who I've been investing time and energy into and who's been investing time and energy into me as well, okay? Right? So it's very important to take notice of that and not take it as a joke. Because I know some of you might be like, well, you know, I guess, you know, sticks and stones don't hurt can hurt my bones, but words will never hurt me, however the saying goes, right? And so you start to think, well, even though these things feel wrong when I hear them from him, I'm just going to pretend like they don't bother me, let it, you know, roll off my back and just move on. But then as the comparison is going on more and more, you continue to feel worse and worse and worse about yourself. And you wonder to yourself, well, does this guy really like me? Is he really into me? Or is this just all like a joke to him? Is he just using me as a placeholder, right? Because the reality of it is when guys really love you and care for you, they're not going to be doing this on a regular basis or at all, okay? Nothing wrong with finding women attractive, but they're not going to compare you constantly to other women to just beat you down as if you don't exist or as if, you know, you're lesser than these other women, right? Does that make sense? Right? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's how the saying goes, right? Someone says, I got called a baddie at a bar once. Maybe they were trying to flatter me, but I didn't even know what that was. A baddie's kind of different to everyone, right? Because sometimes, you know, you can be a baddie in the sense that you're, I don't know, you could be a goth baddie. You know, you could be an IG type of girl baddie. You could be a tomboy baddie. I guess there's different types of baddies, right? They're all not the same. Someone says, my ex would call me a baddie and say, "Gyat," anytime he was behind me. Calm down, don't lie to me. I am cute, but not in that way, LMAO. It felt like he just wanted me to be that. Well, okay, that's a different thing. Because if your man is praising you like he would the IG baddie, that's totally different. I'm talking about if a man is comparing you to an IG baddie and saying, oh, you don't have this, you don't have that, you're not like this, you're not like that. But if he's praising you, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Let's hop into point number 7. This is actually, I'm not joking about this. Me and my friends, we actually call the women with those crazy BBLs, we call them BBL bandits. I live in Toronto, chat, so there's a lot of BBL bandits around here. I know when you think of those of you that live in the US, when you think of Toronto, you're probably like, what goes on there? What's it like? It's literally a smaller New York City. So everything you think and know about New York, just think of a slightly smaller city, slightly smaller, a lot cleaner, and the people are less rude. Everything else is the same. That's literally what Toronto's like. So there's, trust me, lots of BBL bandits walking around. And I've lived in New York, so I know what I'm talking about. Let's hop into point number 7. Point number 7. Okay. Let's draw it out here. Damn, I kind of drew that nice. I don't know what inspired me to draw it like that. Okay, and we'll do this. So we'll say And we'll do now we'll put this here. This will be a good one for the checklist. Okay. So for point number 7, we're going to talk about shaming, because one of the things guys won't do if they really love you, and if they're doing it, it doesn't really love you, is they won't shame you for having standards. This is one that I know a lot of you struggle with, because when you're in a relationship with a guy or you're dating a guy, you can start to build up this irrational fear, okay? Oh, I put it accountable. Thank you, Spell Police. There we go. There we go. So, one of the things, let me even put here, right? Yeah, God. Your standards, okay? When you end up dating a guy and you're seeing this guy on a consistent basis, you have to understand this irrational fear that might come within you that, well, if I have too many standards or I have all these rules, maybe he might say, F your rules. Why do you have all these standards, all these things that a guy can't do and has to do? You know what? I don't have time for that. I'm just going to give up on this. I'm not interested anymore because you got too many standards, too many rules. That irrational fear that might come within you as you're dating and seeing a guy is self-sabotage. Because if we actually break it down, if you are a valuable woman, a high-value woman, as the kids like to say, okay? A woman that is very desirable amongst a lot of men, then it actually makes a lot of sense that your standards would be in line with the value that you have as a woman. Let me give you a perfect example of why that is true, if you're ever questioning that. Let's say, and I want to ask all of you, so you put yourself in a man's shoes here for a second, okay? I want you guys to all participate. If you were a man, okay, hypothetically, okay, so today you're a man, and let's say the type of man you are sloppy, you are disgusting, you don't take care of yourself, you don't shave anywhere on your body, okay? You dress like garbage, all right? Your teeth are murked, all crooked, you never brush them, your tongue is white, okay? You look like a mess, all right? Let's say that's you as a man. And let's say you're standing at a party looking like a mess, no deodorant, BO stinking up the joint, and a beautiful IG baddie comes up to you. Oh my gosh, hair flowing, she looks amazing, okay? Booty out of this world, okay? She's wearing these jeans, you're like, oh my God, how'd you even get those jeans on? You look amazing, okay? Busty all over, curvy, amazing. You've never seen a woman this gorgeous in your life, not even on Instagram, okay? That woman, you're a man today, that woman comes up to you and she says, oh my gosh, you're so handsome. I want to be your girlfriend. Can I be your wife? Can we go out on a date? I would love to date you. You're the type of man I would love to date. And you're a man today, and you're looking disgusting, and you have no game whatsoever, nothing going for you whatsoever. Now, in that scenario where that baddie comes up to you and asks to be your girlfriend and asks to go out on a date, tell me, would you be, as a man, would you be suspicious of that? Or would you think to yourself, oh, this is perfectly normal. This is normal. This is a normal day. Of course I'm disgusting. And the beautiful, amazing, super attractive woman wants to date me and wants to be my girlfriend. Tell me in the chat. That's where I want you all to participate. Would you be suspicious of that woman who came up to you and asked to be your girlfriend, right? Because you're a man. Or would you say that's normal? That's a normal day in the office. Makes a lot of sense that, she would come up to me and want to be my girlfriend. I want you all to participate because I want to get into a very important point that I want to kind of show you guys why this is the way that it is, okay? I see a lot of people saying I would be very suspicious, okay? I would be suspicious. Someone says that was me and my ex. It was not normal at all. Very suspicious. Someone says, or maybe I'm just fine like that. Yeah? Yeah? I think she's trying to set me up. I like that, cutie pie, okay? That's a great point. So the reason that I asked this question, even though it sounds silly and very obvious, is because it actually speaks to the idea that you understand, and also men understand on a subconscious level, that if a woman has value, her standards should also represent the level of value she has as a woman. Because a woman who's super attractive, super desirable, who looks the part, dresses the part, looks like she has it together, the things that men would desire and want, should not be going up to a guy who looks disgusting, who has nothing going for him, who looks sloppy with his hair messed up and his teeth messed up and his skin nasty, no money, nothing going for himself. She should not be even giving that type of guy this time of day to even acknowledge his presence, let alone go up to him and ask him to go on a date. And the reason that a lot of you are saying, if I was a guy, I would be suspicious of a girl who did that, is because you also understand that women are supposed to have the type of standards that represent the type of woman that they are. Meaning if you're a woman who's super valuable, super desirable, you're supposed to have standards that only the top 1% of men can meet. Vice versa, if you're a less desirable woman, nobody wants you, then you're also subconsciously equating that to, that means you should have less standards, and more men should be able to access you because your standards are so low. So why do I say all of that, and why is that important to our point here for shaming? When a man doesn't love you, he's going to shame you for having standards because in his mind, right, standards are a barrier to entry for him. If he feels in his own mind, I'm not here to actually build with you, I'm not here because I actually love you, I'm not here because I even really like you, I'm here to use you for my own pleasure, to take advantage of you, whether it be as a placeholder, to get what I want from you, to get girlfriend treatment for a little bit of time, to get over my ex, whatever the case may be, right? And he knows that subconsciously, your standards will always be a barrier to him. It will be something that gets in his way from accomplishing what he wants to accomplish. Whereas if you have standards and you are a woman of value and you're a woman of self-respect, your standards and the fact that you have value as a woman and you know what you bring to the table because you actually bring things to the table will equal themselves out, and it'll actually make a lot of sense because if I'm a man and I want you and I desire you and a lot of other men desire you, your standards are going to make it so that a lot of men aren't going to pass that filter, right? That threshold that has to be met. Only a few very good, very talented, very amazing men will be able to meet those standards to be able to date you because they all want to date you. Does that make sense? Right? So be aware of that, of men who will start to shame you for having standards, having boundaries, having things that you just don't allow, right? So that's why I drew out this checklist of things like respect and reliability and being accountable, right? As things that would be natural standards that you would have of a man in a relationship, and he'll start to say things like, "Oh, you never want to have fun. Oh, you're so hard on everything. You never just want to chill. Why do you have so many standards and so many rules? You got too many rules." Okay, right? As soon as they start complaining, trying to make you feel guilty for having standards, trying to make you feel guilty for having self-respect, trying to make you feel guilty for not just allowing any guy to do anything with you at any time or say yes to anything, that is immediately a guy who's not really as into you as you're imagining he's into you, okay? Because I promise you, it's only the guys that want to take advantage of you that really start to complain about this type of stuff, all right? Let's hop into point number 8. We all on the same page? We're all on the same page, all right? Someone said, some of us don't know our worth and we get with a bootlicker. Damn, getting with a bootlicker, crazy. Crazy, 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 crazy. Sometimes it's crazy too, because some girls actually are baddies and they actually don't know that they're baddies. It's quite interesting how that happens. I don't know how that happens, but it does happen. Let's hop into point number, this is 8, right? This is point number 8. Point number 8 here. Okay. Let's do this like this. So I'm going to give you an example that will be traumatizing to some of you, but don't worry, we'll get through it together, right? We'll get through this together. I promise you, we'll get through it together. All right. And then we'll go up here. And then we'll do this like that. Okay. So For point number 8, we're going to talk about hurting, because one of the things that can be very obvious but not feel as obvious when you're in the relationship with the guy is a guy that will hurt you over and over again in the same way that he actually is very aware hurts you. He's aware of what it does to you, but he really can't be bothered to change the behavior. I gave an example of that in the example of a guy cheating on you. You find out about it because he's definitely not going to tell you about it. And when you find out about it, you choose to forgive him because you have a soft place in your heart for him and you're making exceptions for him, which I never advise you to, but you forgive him. And then you choose to move on, or at least try to move forward from it. And then he cheats on you again. Okay? In pretty much the same situation. Let's say, for the sake of example, he cheated on you with a coworker. And he cheats on you again with a different coworker now this time. You find out again. And it's basically like going in circles because the situation is very similar. And let's say that first time that this happened and you found out, you guys had extensive conversation about it. You told him about how much it hurt you. You told him about how it affected you emotionally. You told him about how you felt like nothing. You felt like trash afterwards. You guys went through the process of trying to move forward from it and talking about it and getting to an understanding of it. And he just ended up doing it again. Now, obviously, this is an extreme example. And some of you are saying, I would never forgive a guy and let him cheat on me multiple times. Okay, yeah. Now, the reason that I'm bringing this up is because I want you to recognize this pattern and be honest with yourself about what it really means. Because when a guy tries to tell you, oh, I love you so much, I care about you so much, I want the best for this relationship, I really want to be here, and then he hurts you, nothing wrong with making a mistake. Let me be clear about that. People are allowed to make mistakes. But for someone to make a mistake and then understand what it did to you emotionally, how it destroyed you, and then continue on to make the same mistake again, not only is that reckless, but it just shows they don't actually care, okay? And don't let someone recover and try to pretend like they actually care when they make a mistake like this that is literally showing you they don't actually care, okay? In fact, in some ways, the people that will do this type of stuff to you actually secretly hate you, okay? Secretly despise you, even though they're with you. It sounds very weird. That's a discussion for another day. But this happens. And I want you to be aware of why this is happening. A guy cannot love you if he's willing to hurt you in the exact same way over and over again, especially when he knows what it does to you, okay? It's one thing to say I hurt someone and I didn't realize what that was doing to that person. Now that I see it, I have more empathy. I don't want to treat that person that same way or do that to them because I'm going to have that playing in my mind. It's a whole nother thing to say, I know what it does to that person. I know how it pains them. I know how they struggled. I know how they had to dig themselves out of a hole after the last time the situation happened. And I'm going to do it again. That's a totally different type of thing, okay? Let's hop into point number 9. Don't want to trigger any of you too much with that one. I know some of you been through that, okay? I know we come on the show, we all talk, I would never allow a man to cheat on me and take him back. Yeah, okay. Trust me, we're real human beings here, okay? We have a real conversation about real stuff, okay? Not that fake stuff people be pretending like they don't take people back. I know what really goes on, okay? Let's hop into point number 9, okay? Can I fit this all on here? Okay, we got it. You guys will hate this one. But I like that you'll hate it because the fact that it'll trigger, I should have put it at the front here. The fact that it'll trigger you is good in the sense that it will, Chad, don't worry about my drawing. Don't worry about all that. We'll just do this like this. Yeah, there we go. You'll see why I'm doing this like this in a second. You'll see why. Okay, so we'll draw it like this. Don't laugh, chat. Don't laugh at my drawing, chat. Chat, don't laugh at my drawing. Don't you dare. I don't want to see no laughing faces at my drawing, chat. Not one, okay? Not one. Don't you dare laugh at my drawing. Don't you dare laugh. Okay. Yeah, That's pretty good. Yeah. Okay. Point number 9. We're going to talk about insecurities. One thing, if you're with a guy and you have discussions with him, vulnerable discussions with him about insecurities of yours on your body, about your life, just about you in general, that's not uncommon because obviously you're going to get vulnerable with a guy that you're being in a romantic relationship with. Here's something to take note of. If a guy loves you, one very important thing he will not do is he will not hear those insecurities that you're saying make you really insecure about yourself, and then proceed to tease you or make fun of you about those things in which you confided in him by telling him, hey, I'm really insecure about this. This is something that really has been bothering me since I was a young child, right, about myself. And then could proceed to use that information to then make you feel bad about yourself. So I'll give you an example of that, and it's kind of obvious what the example is here, right? In the sense that, let's say you're really insecure about your nose, right? You have a really misshapen nose, okay? Maybe your nose has a crazy bridge in it, or it's crooked, or whatever the case may be, right? It's really big. And you're really insecure about that, and you tell him, you confide in him in conversation with him that, look, I'm really insecure about my nose. I don't like the way it looks. I don't like the size of it. And when people make fun of it, or when people are staring at me, sometimes I get subconscious about it. And that's what you tell him. And then he proceeds to say, oh, let's say a couple of days go by or something happens and he's teasing you and he's like, oh yeah, that's funny. I had to change that picture. Couldn't pick that picture because your nose looks huge in that one. Or yeah, we definitely don't want to get your side profile because if we get your side profile, then they're going to see how crazy your nose sticks out or whatever the case may be, right? This might seem a little bit harmless, but there's a deeper meaning to it, right? Because he's taking an insecurity that he has received from you, that you've been vulnerable with him about, and then he's using that to actually hurt your feelings, okay? And this is very bad because when a guy actually loves you, he doesn't want to take those deep-rooted insecurities and use them to hurt you. Because especially when they're insecurities that when people tease you about it, it's not just teasing you because of how much you care about it and because of how important it is to you. When a guy actually loves you and cares about you, he understands how delicate and sensitive those particular insecurities can be. So if he's going to tease you and make fun of you and have fun with you, he'll tease you about something that you're not so insecure about, okay? So in this scenario, he'll tease you about your hair or tease you about maybe your nails broken, your nails aren't done, tease you about something like that, as opposed to teasing you about the one thing that when he teases you about it, you might actually cry, okay? So something to take note of and to understand, because if you start to experience this or you're already experiencing this with a guy that you're dating or a guy that you're in love with or love very much, then you know how he really and truly feels about you. Because like any smart man as an individual would never purposely go and attack the thing that he knows his woman is the most insecure about. And trust me, I know that we play dumb a lot of times as men, but for the most part, a lot of us, if we're actually listening to our woman, we know the key elements of her that she's the most insecure about. And we would try our best to try and avoid attacking her or making her feel insecure of those places. Because obviously those are the things that would, really trigger her if we were to talk about them or make her feel bad about those places. Are we all on the same page about that, right? Okay. Tina says, I've had that about my weight, and I was a slim 8 stone. I'm in Canada, so I don't know what 8 stone is, or I always think in pounds, not kilograms. But yes, 8 stone. Because I had a low self-esteem, he believed I had to lose weight, right? So it could be for some of you, it could be your weight. For some of you, it could be your nose. Maybe for some of you, it's your hair. Your height, although I don't know why your height would be maybe if you're really tall, maybe your height is something you're insecure about, right? And so it's just something to take note of, right? Like people, or men, I should say, who love you aren't going to take that insecurity and then use that to attack you, right? Someone said my boyfriend was like this. Well, then you know how he really feel about you. You know how he really feel about you, because that's not love. When you do that to someone, that's not love, okay? That's actually just being very insensitive. That's something you do when you want to bully someone, Let's hop into point number 10. Is that 10? That's 10 already? Damn, that's 10 already. Okay, point number 10. That was fast. We blazed through that, chat. We might have to do 2 shows today. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. That's a joke. That's definitely a joke. Let's hop into point number 10. Point number 10, chat. Point number 10. We'll do this like this. Okay. So we put you here. We put your beautiful face here. We put your beautiful face here. Okay. And we'll put the man here. And we'll do them like this. We put man here. I don't know why I drew him like that. It's okay. Okay, so we'll do this like this. This is kind of a weird drawing, but okay, we'll make sense of this. So for point number 10, we're going to talk about challenges, because something that can happen if you're in a relationship with a guy, and I want you to recognize, because it's a sign that he doesn't actually love you. You might be in a situation where you're going through something traumatic. Let's say, for the sake of example, you lost your job, or you're going through a family situation that really is weighing on your mental. And, excuse me, as you're going through this, you have discussion with him about what's going on in your life and the pressure that it's putting on you and how it's weighing on you. When this begins to happen, if a man really cares about you, these are the moments in which he's going to try harder to be there for you, to check in on you, to make sure you're good, to try and, make sure you're happy. Oh, let's go out for ice cream. I know you love ice cream. Do the smallest things to try and cheer you up and take some of that weight off of your shoulders and off of your mind. Sometimes, though, you'll be with a guy, and when these challenges present themselves in your life, okay, he will actually do the opposite, which is distance himself away from you, stop talking to you, stop being there for you, almost seem like he really is like disinterested in dealing with you when you're going through these like mental situations or these situations that are weighing heavily on you. You want to know the real deep-rooted reason why some guys will do this? Because subconsciously, they understand that when you're in this mental state where, I have a family situation that's weighing on me, I have work now, I have this, I have that, they know deep down in their mind, you can't really serve me right now. You're probably going to be less enthusiastic around me. You're not going to be able to sleep with me the same way that I want you to sleep with me. You're just going to want to like cuddle and, sit there and, cry on my shoulder. But like, what am I going to get from that? And so the reason they kind of disappear on you, if they don't love you, is because they understand that during this time, they're not really going to be able to extract a lot of value from you, because they're going to have to be more of your support during this time. Now, if a guy loves you, this is not a problem. He's here to build with you, so he's obviously here to support you, especially when you're going through things. But as you're going through challenges, if a guy doesn't love you, the idea that he's going to now support you, especially when at this period or this time, for this time frame, he's not really going to be receiving a lot of support from you or a lot of value from you, like sex or like girlfriend treatment or whatever the case may be, because of these challenges that you're facing, well, then you lose a lot of your luster to a guy who's not in love with you, because now he can't really extract from you any longer. And as crazy as that sounds, it does happen, and it's a clear sign that he really doesn't love you the way that you're thinking and imagining that he does. Because if he did, obviously, he would be there for you and support you during this time. Are we on the same page, right? Someone said that's some messed up stuff. It is messed up, but it does happen, okay? I have to be honest with you guys so that we're, we all know the truth and we can accept that. Now, Do you guys have any questions about the 10 that we just discussed here today? I would think that went by quick. That was fast. You guys have any questions about these 10? They don't get the spotlight. Jojo said, my ex would get very frustrated and hateful with himself if he couldn't perform. It was so bad that I hated sleeping with him. He would get frustrated that he couldn't perform. Was there a particular reason or thing that was happening on a consistent basis that was causing him to not be able to perform? Was it like pressure, or did he just feel like he just literally just couldn't get it up? Or what was the reasoning there? I am trying to understand. Larissa said, once again, my first boyfriend was like this. He got angry when I cried. Very, very strange behavior to be having, especially when you're claiming to love someone, and then when they cry or when they have emotions, it's like a burden to you, right? Very strange. It does happen, but it's very strange, and it clearly shows how he really feels about you. Okay. Someone says I'd be taking a water break at the same time Tommy does. That's pretty funny. Oh yeah, back in 2019, someone ran into me and totaled my car. I'm okay, but I told my ex and he was like, oh, I'm sorry, hope you're okay. That was it. See, it's exactly the type of things that I'm referring to, right? Sometimes you'll tell a guy something that's going on in your life, and it's almost like they choose that time to be distant from you. As strange as that sounds, when it's clear, or you would feel like it's clear, you would want someone by your side, not to be more distant from you. Okay. Someone says, these are a lot of problems. What's the solution if in a long-term relationship? Well, first things first, if you're noticing these things like in the beginning of the relationship, you shouldn't then get into the relationship. So that's a key element of that. But unfortunately, and I have to be honest with you, if you're in the long-term relationship and then you're retroactively realizing that a lot of these things are present, there is no like quick fix to these, because you can't just say, okay, my boyfriend or my husband is showing me a lot of signs that he doesn't love me. Clear signs, now that I'm actually thinking about it, but I'm going to figure out how I can fix this to do something about this. Well, you're kind of out of luck here, because in order for these things to be fixed, he himself has to have an internal desire to like step up to the plate and try and address these things and make them right. Now, is it possible for him to have that desire after a while? Maybe if he thinks you're going to walk away from this relationship? Yes, it's possible. But it's not something where you can say, okay, my relationship has a lot of problems. I want to fix them. But if your guy doesn't have the same desire to fix them, that's not really gonna work out, So you might have to reevaluate if the relationship is right for you. I'm not just saying break up with your man today, but you might have to start doing some reevaluation there, because if you're feeling like everything I just said applies perfectly to you, then you have a problem. Okay. Flower says, yes, I had a crap BF who said he was, yeah, I know this. I know it. My TikTok disconnected. Someone says, yes, I had a crap BF who, he was in love with me, and at least he seemed to be, but he refused to come to my father's funeral. What? He refused to come to your father's funeral? Why did he refuse to come to your father's funeral? That's quite strange. It's quite strange behavior. Let me go back here. You said he refused to come to your father's funeral. What is going on here? Okay. How do you take a step back when you're already invested? Take a step back, what, from a relationship? Is it from a relationship? Because it's going to be difficult to take a step back from a relationship that you're already in, or a marriage that you're already in. Now, obviously, you can always break up with the person, but when you say take a step back, like, what are you going to do? Start ignoring your own boyfriend or ignoring your own husband? That's not really gonna to work out. You should start off with, what is your desired result here? Do you want to be with the guy, or do you want him to make some changes? If you want him to make changes, what changes specifically do you want him to make? What would work for you and what would not, right? Tina says, I had an ex hide my college work and start arguments the night before. What? Why is he hiding your college work? I don't understand. Why do they secretly hate you if they repeat point number 8? Point number 8 was, what was that? Hurting? Well, the reason I say they might secretly hate you is because if you know how badly something you do hurts someone else and then you proceed to continue to do that, you secretly hate the person because you subconsciously must enjoy the fact that that puts them in a lot of pain. Because naturally, if you have empathy for someone you care about, then when you know something really hurts them, you almost feel sad for the fact that they feel sad. So you don't do that thing because you know how it negatively affects them. Now, if you understand how something negatively affects that person and then you do it anyways, even sometimes purposely, then you secretly hate that person. I don't even think it's a secret. You kind of hate that person because you're not only do you not have empathy, but you actually enjoy the process of putting them in pain, which is very twisted. Okay. Yes, I had, yeah, no, I already read that. How do you know if you are for sure a placeholder? I think we had a show about being a placeholder, but we might have to, maybe we'll refresh that of a show about being a placeholder. But there's many different factors to being a placeholder that I think we should get into on a whole show. Secretly hates you, but likes to have power over you and or likes the amenities. Yeah, like girlfriend treatment, okay? Just like girlfriend treatment. Nicole Cottom donates $5 in the YouTube chat. She says, what if your guy friend, no romantic relationship, no benefits, has helped and wants to help you with your challenges, but he is one of the challenges? Huh? How is your guy friend one of the challenges? I don't understand how that part works. What do you mean? Like he's one of your romantic challenges? Also, your guy friend that you think is your guy friend is not really your guy friend. If he's doing all of that for you, right? He's always there for you, always trying to do things for you, help you out with things. He definitely likes you. So just let that be known. Dragon says, Tommy, why do they get mad when we talk to our girlfriends? We talk about the relationship, and is it wrong to tell a friend? Why is it that our friends always seem like enemies to them? Well, okay, Dragon, this is a little bit off topic, but the reason that guys don't like that is because there's a thin line between sharing about your relationship, because obviously you're a woman, so it's going to be natural to share with your girlfriends about your relationship, and then talking bad about your partner. This is the problem with that. And this actually could be a whole show topic. When you share with your girlfriends your relationship, and even though you're just being honest about the things that have happened, sometimes you can come to your girlfriends in an emotional state. So something just happened or just transpired. You're telling your girlfriends all the, oh, he did this, he did that. Oh my God, I hate him so much. He's the worst. Oh my God, I can't believe he did that, right? Your girlfriends will empathize with you. And then they'll also, like that heightened emotion that you feel as you're describing it in the moment, they're receiving that. But the problem is, when you're doing really well in your relationship, this is a thing that I find women sometimes struggle with. When your relationship is going really well, there's less to talk about with your girlfriends. Because for a lot of women, having a conversation centered around how good your relationship is going is not really a conversation. Now, if your relationship is going bad, oh, lots to talk. Oh my God, we could talk for hours. But then when you're just there to talk about all the things that are going good, it's like, why would we talk about that? That's not really relevant. My relationship's good, so there's nothing to talk about. But that's the problem, because your friends aren't experiencing your partner during the good times. They're also not hearing stories about the good times. So if you think about that, you stack that up over the course of time, your girlfriends, let's say you're dating a guy for 3 years, will hear 3 years worth of stories that are mostly negative, because those are the only times that you really feel like you have to tell them something in depth and have a 3-hour conversation with them, right? And so over the course of time, their perception, your friend's perception of your man will start to become overwhelmingly negative. So they'll start to look towards him as, oh my God, I hate that guy. Every time you bring up his name, I hate that guy. I don't like him. I see the pain he's caused you. I hear all the stories of how he mistreats you and how he does this and how he does that. But they never hear the other side, the balance of, oh, but he does this well. He does this for me. The other day he tried to take care of me and all that other stuff, right? Because relationships are up and down. They're never always good and they're never always bad. So especially if you're with a guy still, and you still love the guy and you still want to be in the relationship, then you don't want to get into the habit of only talking bad about your guy. Then it can become a problem, because that's what makes your friends feel like enemies to your guy, because your guy starts to receive that negative energy from your friends because they're thinking negatively about him, and then he doesn't want to be around them. He doesn't like how they talk about him, and then it just creates a spiraling cycle. Okay, right? So it's just something that has to be balanced, right? Someone said I learned this during my first breakup. Yeah, it happens. It's something that the best way to combat that is, one, to try not to share everything about your relationship, keep some things private to yourself. And number two, if you're going to tell stories about things that are not working out in your relationship to your girlfriends, make sure you balance that with, when things are going good, make sure you take some time out to talk to them about the good that he's doing for you and the good going on in your relationship as well, so that they get to receive that and see him in a positive light as well. Because if you're going to stay with him and you're going to, allow your girlfriends to hate him or only hear stories about how horrible he is, that's only going to do a disservice to you. Because when they're at odds, you're the one that's going to be in the middle of that. So trust me, I've experienced that lots, and I had to learn from that myself, okay? Simran says, what's the difference between, what is going on here? What is going on here? This is so weird. This is, TikTok, come on YouTube, because my TikTok is being very strange. I keep having problems with this. So I'm going to end the TikTok, and then you guys come on TikTok and we'll have a chat. We'll have a chat on TikTok. Or TikTok, you guys come on YouTube. We'll have a chat on YouTube, okay? My YouTube's just above my head on the top right of the screen, okay? Because my live's so strange on here. All right. All right, YouTube. We not having any problems on here. All right. So I'll do a few more. Oh, someone says, I got a question, a little bit off topic, but reviewing your vids earlier, but I couldn't find it. New person I just met at the bar asked me for a pic. How do I respond? A pic of what? And why did he want a picture? Nothing wrong with like, oh, send me an outfit picture when you go out or something like that. But if he's just saying like, what is the context of send me a picture? Also, Nicole, you said, I wanted to see what you responded back after you said that. I knew you were going to say that. He has a girlfriend and lives in a different state. If he has a girlfriend, that actually makes it more inappropriate that he's consistently tending to your needs. I'm not saying that guys can't have friends, but it is quite strange for a guy to be that attentive to another woman's needs that's not his girlfriend. Not that he can't be a friend to you, but if you would consider you guys like best friends or really close, that's like starting to inch towards, I don't even want to say inappropriate, but like competition. Because if he's always tending to your needs, what happens when your needs and his woman's needs kind of coincide? You know what I mean? And the reason I say that is just because I understand that part of men's overall overarching love language is to do things for women that they care about or have feelings for. Men find it very difficult to take action for women who they don't care about. It's basically impossible, right? I can't not want or desire a woman and then do things for her. It just doesn't work. So my desire for a woman is always going to kind of motivate my desire to take action for her. So if you have one guy in particular in your life that's always going out of his way, even inconveniencing himself to take action for you, that's actually speaking towards his feelings towards you. Now, I'm not here to say, okay, well, end that friendship or whatever the case, but definitely, I have a hunch that if he was to tell his girlfriend everything that he does for you, she would probably feel a little bit uncomfortable. I would say that. And chat, when I say these type of things, it's not that I think that men shouldn't have friends who are women, and if they have a friend who's a woman, then it's a crime and he should be lashed out for. That's not what I'm saying. But you guys have to understand that there's a very fine line there and a balance where things can become very inappropriate very fast, especially with guys, especially when they're being really consistent with one woman all the time and constantly going out of their way to inconvenience themselves for that woman. It starts off friendly, but it gets inappropriate fast, okay? What do you think about men starting new relationships right after an old relationship? That's horrible. I would never advise you or to be with the guy who does that. You don't do that, and you don't be with the guy who's doing that to you, because that's only going to put you in a horrible position, okay? Nicole says he doesn't always tend to my needs, but he does sometimes. We've been friends before he got with his girlfriend, but we do ministry together. Well, okay, so that's not a crime, but here's the thing. I'll explain it to you like this. There's friends that I've had as a single person that I have woman friends, female friends, friends that are women, that, yeah, we talk every now and again. We have conversation. But if one of us were to get into a relationship, there's an understanding that like the amount of time we spend together has to be kind of pulled back. The amount we speak to each other has to be kind of pulled back. And for sure, there has to be a respect of boundaries of what is appropriate and what's inappropriate. Because some things that even might be harmless when you're two single people, that isn't necessarily romantic or inappropriate for a friendship, might become inappropriate because now you're adding to the fact that I have a girlfriend, you have a boyfriend, and there's certain boundaries that need to be respected if that's the case, whether you're in a church setting or whether you're in just a casual setting. So the reason I say that is because I would need more information on the situation to be able to like properly determine that, okay? Because it's very complex, because I just know that in those situations the line is so gray that certain things might be still appropriate and then certain things might cross the line. It just all depends on exactly what it is. Pal says he started talking to me again and says he's the only one who missed me and that I didn't miss him. What should I say to that? Say nothing. Say, okay, LOL, or that's funny. Just ignore it. Pretend like you didn't hear it, right? Just laugh it off. Laughter is usually the answer a lot of times. Laugh it off, right? No need for you to, like, what are you supposed to say to that? Oh, no, I missed you more than you missed me. No, what's the point of you saying that? For what? So I would rather you, pal, in that scenario, or in any scenario where a guy's like, oh, I missed you so much. I want to see you so much. Oh, it's been so sad without you. I'd rather you spin that into getting a date out of it. So if he does miss you, be like, wow, I wonder how much you really miss me. How bad have you actually missed me? Let him talk to you about how much he's missed you. And then if he really does miss you that much, then he can organize a time and a date for him to see you in person or take you out on a date, right? And let him kind of spin that into a date. Spin that into him actually asking you out, as opposed to just going back and, I miss you more. It's useless, okay? Let him take action on that statement there. Sunfeather says, I was here first, mentally has, what? The I was here first mentality has always escaped me. My man friends, if I ever have them, are like my foster boys, that is fully their actual woman's responsibility when she bags him. I think I know what you're trying to say there, Sunfeather, but yes, there's a transition period of your relationship or friendship with someone will change when they get in a relationship, and that's what should happen if you're having a respectful friendship. It's not, you're not supposed to see someone you were seeing when you were completely single, the same frequency and be doing the same things, because that part of that energy that was going towards you as a friend is supposed to be going towards the romantic partner, right? It's not supposed to be a competition. My ex said, why didn't stop him from leaving, but he cheated on me and left his own choice. What did he mean? I'm not really even understanding what you mean there, so you're gonna have to re-explain that. Simran says, what's the difference between him not listening to your needs and him forgetting them often because he's still learning you? First time in a relationship? Well, okay, one, how early are we talking? If we're talking 1 month, that's a different story, okay? That's fair for him to not necessarily be able to remember everything, okay? He's still learning you, for sure. But if we're talking 1 year of dating, then we're not still talking about having to learn basic understandings of what works for you and what doesn't work for you. You know what I mean? Okay. So I haven't watched this at all. So we're going to be reacting to this in real time. This is, I guess, a whole compilation of a story time by a woman who has found out something very crazy about her husband. So we'll see what that is.
Girlies, can I show you a photo of the woman my husband slept with? Now, can I show you a picture of the woman that gave birth to me?
Why did that look like an inmate? What?
Oh, wait, I just showed you.
Wait,
Picture
what?
of the woman that gave birth to me. Oh, wait, I just showed you. All right, so story.
What did she just say?
Now, can I show you a picture of the woman that gave birth to me? Girlies, can I show you a photo of the woman my husband slept with? Now, can I show you a picture of the woman that gave birth to me? Oh, wait, I just showed you. All right, so story time about how my mom and my ex-husband now slept together over and over. I'll also show a few more pictures. This is like a complex situation, so I'll get through it as quickly as I can, but...
What? Okay. I wasn't, okay. I wasn't
There's a
meant
lot to
wait
this.
for it.
So this was my husband. Yes, my eyebrows are crazy thin. Here's another picture from our wedding. Now, my mom wasn't always looking the way she does, obviously, in her mugshot. She was actually quite beautiful, slim.
Oh, so that was a mugshot. Okay. Oh, okay. So, okay. I just have to prepare myself, man. Okay.
Let me show you a picture before the drugs overtook her. That was my mom. This is my mom and my husband around the time that they would have met. And this is my mom when my husband and her, I think, started sleeping together.
Sorry, wait. I must not understand marriages. In what scenario?
That was my mom. This is my mom and my husband around the time that they...
Sorry, no. Sorry, I'm very detail oriented. In what scenario at a wedding, this is a wedding, I'm assuming, would the groom be walking with the bridesmaid's mother? What is that a cultural thing? I don't know. What culture do they do that at? I don't know that culture. Which one do they do that at? Where the groom walks with the bride's mother? I don't know that one. That one's a different one. Tell me which one that is.
They would have met. And this is my mom when my husband and her, I think, started sleeping together. I'll never know the exact timeline of when all this happened. I know approximately when it happened, but my mom didn't want to go into details, and my ex-husband just downplays everything. So when she says that they've been together over and over and over, well over a dozen times, he says it was just twice. And you probably think I'm crazy to believe a meth addict over him, but this man is a pathological liar. I won't go into all the lies in this video. I do plan to make more videos about some of the other lies because it is amazing how someone can manipulate someone for so long and get them to believe the most insane things. Keep in mind, I met him when I was 19, so really impressionable, really young. We got married when I was 20. I couldn't even drink alcohol legally. So obviously a huge mistake, but he convinced me he was a virgin when we married. I was a virgin, for sure. Became very apparent to me that he was not a virgin, but I believed it and went with it. And then about 6 months into our marriage, one of the big lies broke open. I took my wedding ring to get cleaned, and the jeweler was being really kind, but he basically was like, "I'm not sure why you want us to clean a piece of glass." And this was really crazy because I was with my grandma, and I literally I was at a mall, and so I went into just like the common area, and I called my husband immediately, and I was like, "Oh my God, you got scammed." Like, I was so dumb. He didn't get scammed. He bought a fake ring. It took me some time, but I finally came around, had the ring tested over and over, and it was definitely not diamond. Now, I just want to clarify. So this is was really upsetting to me because we had picked out, he always took me to the most expensive places. That was his thing. He just like slung money around as if he had a bunch. He didn't. He was broke, but I didn't know that. It appeared as though he had a lot of money, and I'm coming from like a broken situation in terms of like how I was raised, and so I'm looking for some security. So the ring was upsetting because he took me to Tiffany's. I picked out this little tiny yellow diamond ring with little tiny white diamonds around it. And it was like around $1,300, which was very affordable.
She said little tiny. She said eensy weensy microscopic.
For us at that time. And then for fun, we tried on some like bigger, like dream rings. And so we tried on like a 2-carat, really clear, nice cushion cut diamond. So when he gave me the wedding ring, when he surprised me with it, it was the 2-carat diamond ring, and I was really upset. I actually handed it back to him and asked him to return it because I knew it was a $60,000 ring. That's what they told us when we were there, and I have no interest in sinking that.
$60,000. Okay, that's not even being money. Whatever. I don't want to get into it. That's not even being money smart, because you could get a lab grown diamond for way less. That must have been a natural diamond, because 2 carats for $60,000 don't make a damn bit of sense. Even natural diamonds, whatever. This is a dumb purchase, but you get whatever.
Kind of money into a wedding ring, especially when there was just so many other things we could have done with that money. And so I just begged him to take it back, and he's like, no, it's a done deal. And instead of just telling me it didn't cost that much, like, that's not what it is, it's not actually real, he let me believe that I was carrying around this $60,000 ring, showing it off to people. One day I dropped it in the parking lot, and I had like an actual panic attack because I thought I just like ruined our lives, because that type of money is just insane to me. So anyways, really annoying that he did that. And when I finally found out it was fake, he still tried to deny it over and over. It was just a bad thing. And
oh, I see. So the whole thing was a ruse. Because I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, from my understanding of diamond prices, even a natural cut diamond is not $60,000 for 2 carats. $60,000, you at least four.
That's what started opening my eye up to things that are probably not true. So if you recognize him, if you were with him at some point, please reach out to me, because there were rumors going around that he was engaged when I met him. And I was young, I was 19. It's not an excuse, but when I asked him, he said, no, we're not engaged. We had been engaged for 6 years, but it didn't work out. She kept pressuring me for sex, and I didn't want to go through with it. Give me a freaking break. I feel so stupid for believing that, obviously. Hindsight's 2020. And so one day we're at lunch, we're working together. He's my boss. I mean, not technically my boss.
My God. It's certain type of stuff just gets me heated, you know. Why? Of all the men to choose, the man that, you know, okay, it's not the idea even that she works with him is not even like the worst. I don't like it, but it's not the worst thing in the world. It's the idea that like you put yourself in a position where you have no leverage. You understand what I'm saying? Like, as a woman, you want to be protective of your own leverage in a relationship from the standpoint of like, you don't know what a guy will try on you. You don't know. These are strangers. So protecting your leverage is always making sure that at any point in the relationship leading up to marriage, that you have a leg to stand on, where if he ever tries to get too funny with you, start, you know, power tripping or thinking he can say or do anything, that you always have the ability to stand up for yourself and say, well, I don't need you. I can walk away from this because there's nothing you can hold against me to stop me from walking away if you ever stop showing up how I expect you to show up. The reason that I'm kind of like sighing when she's saying he was my boss is because she's making herself powerless. Because not only is that your boyfriend now, and obviously she's really young and really naive, but also he now has control over how she's able to make money, right? So there's an extra factor of, if he does start acting up, or she starts questioning some of the things that he's doing, or he starts acting weird or strange, right? Going behind her back. Even if she wanted to call him out, now she'll be scared to call him out, because she'll be like, what if he'll fire me? Or what if he'll threaten to fire me? Right? Because he's upset or he's mad or whatever the case may be. And then I will be out of a job and out of a boyfriend who can take care of me. So you make yourself powerless and have no leverage to. And what do you think a guy's going to do? Especially a manipulative guy, when he knows in his own mind that you as a woman have no leverage to be able to stand up for yourself.
But he definitely has more seniority than me. I'm a kid, basically, right? So we go to lunch one day and we run into his ex-fiance, and it was crazy awkward, and I just didn't think it should be, because I thought they had moved on from each other. He said they never lived together. I don't believe that now, but he claims they never lived together. And when I met her, she was just really upset, and so I just stepped away and let them have their space. But oh my God, if I could have been a fly on that wall, maybe I would have like woken up to what I was dealing with here with him.
She let him and his ex have their space. Yeah.
There's also another huge lie that came out in all of this. I believe now that none of his family knows that we were married. None of them came to the wedding. And I tried to send them invitations and he would not let me send them.
Chat, do you remember this picture? When I was just literally like, I was asking the question, I'm like, wait a second, why did the mother, right? This is the mother here. This is a picture of her mother. I was like, why is her mother walking with the groomsmen at the wedding? What culture is that they walk together? And some of you are like, maybe he doesn't have any parents. Well, the cat's out the bag. He does have parents. They just chose not to come to his wedding. That's why she's here with him. So there's that. Okay, let's continue.
His family knows that we were married. None of them came to the wedding. And I tried to send them invitations and he would not let me send them. He said, oh, I'll take care of that for you. Just give me the invitations. I found them in his car like months later after we had already been married. So I knew he never sent them. And so when I confronted him about why he didn't send the invitations, he said that his family didn't want him to marry me, that I was basically beneath them. His family was ultra wealthy. His dad, like, I guess supposedly did like AstroTurf for like the NFL or something. And so he claims that I was sort of beneath what his family wanted for him. And next thing I know, I get these weird emails from his dad. I still have these emails, and this was at a time when I didn't know like how easy it was for people to just make fake email accounts. It was like their first dot last name at gmail.com. And I believed it. I actually corresponded with his dad. I now believe those messages were from him, but they were vile. They were the most vile messages I've ever received. His dad supposedly hit on me in these messages, which is, again, hindsight's 2020. I was a kid, give me some grace. But yeah, those didn't come from his dad. And recently, when I was with him, one of his sisters called. He has, I believe, 3 sisters. And unfortunately, I can't contact any of them because I know their first names. I don't even know if I really know their first names. They're probably fake. I don't know their last names. I think they're all married. But anyways, he was on the phone with one of his sisters.
One of the key points that I want to point out that we've talked about on the show before is whenever you meet a guy, verifying that he is who he says he is a big part of your safety and you not getting played as a woman, because guys are good. You know, I'm not saying every guy will lie through his teeth when he meets you, but you just want to always be able to take in information from him and then verify that with external sources outside of him, his friends, his family. There should be multiple people in his life able to corroborate the stories that he tells you and the character that you know of him to be. If you start talking to some of his friends and his family and their understanding of who he is and how he is vastly different from what you've experienced with him, chances are you're the outlier and you don't actually know who he really is. Okay, and never in a million years would I ever advise any of you to be marrying a guy that you haven't met his friends and family extensively. Okay, you should have all their number. You should be able to at least hang out with his parents one-on-one even. Like that point of closeness before you should be marrying. So that, no chance. Yeah.
And I said, oh, tell your sister I said hi. And I could hear her say to him, who is that? And he said, oh, it's just a girl. And she's like, it better not be that ex-girlfriend of yours. And she goes, you know, the redhead with the big boobs. So ex-girlfriend, right? She never knew that we were married. Anyways, back to the main story that you guys are interested in. I just kind of wanted to set the scene for some of the lies so you could understand kind of how this developed. So we tried to make it work for many years. He actually filed for separation from me for a crazy reason. I'll do a video on that sometime. And I told him, if you separate from me as your wife, he wanted to be separated legally, but he wanted to still be married and live together. And it's because he wanted to have our finances totally separate. And so I told him, if you separate from me, I will divorce you. And that's what I did. However, we haven't been able to break up fully, right? Like we just keep getting back together. We had a long spell of time where we weren't together. That's not when he was with my mom. I really don't know.
It's just a crazy statement. Every time I hear it, it's just crazy. That's not, the time where we were broken up, that's not the time where he was with my mom.
I just know that when they were together, him and I were also together. Now I've dated other people in the meantime, like when we've been fully.
What? That is so sick. That is so sick.
Fully separated. I've never cheated on anyone ever in my life. But this man has claimed until these lies came out, he had still claimed that he had only ever had sex with me. No one but me in all of these years, right? Like even up until a year ago, he was still saying that I was the only woman he had ever been with. Quick reminder, again, I have zero interest in people trying to dig up his identity and find out who he is. Again, he has a really public job. It's a really good job, and I am just not here to mess up anything for anybody and my mom. I'm out of time, I'm sorry, but there's going to be a part 2. So again, please just don't try to figure out who he is and cause problems for him. I'm not about that, okay? So you're probably wondering like what it was, like why all this happened. I am definitely sapiosexual. I don't know if you know what that means, but I'm a person who is attracted to intelligence over anything else. And
So why'd you pick that guy? You should be the... Let me not be mean.
And I don't know why I'm that way, and this individual is literally the most book smart, intelligent person I've ever met. And I've dated a surgeon and a scientist and a professor, people like that, right? That's like kind of my type, which clearly I need to change up. But that's always kind of like what intrigues me. And there literally isn't a subject that I could talk to this man about that he wouldn't know just everything. He has like a photographic memory. Whatever he reads, he fully retains. And he went to medical school. He went to law school.
Okay. I like that she brought this up because when she's describing it, you might think, oh, wow, he probably really is smart. So there's a difference between being like book smart and then, they have the term street smart, but then there's also being like people smart and having emotional intelligence. So one thing, if I was, interviewing her, or she was here or whatever, or I was her therapist, that I would ask her is, well, what about the smartness and intelligence when it came to like emotional situations in your romantic relationship? Because being book smart is amazing. Okay. Yeah. You could tell me 18 digits in pi. That's awesome. But at the same time, where is that intelligence when it comes to setting boundaries? Why is he still seeing this X? Right? Why is there not a boundary of, oh, I'm about to get married or I am married, so my ex cannot still have conversation with me. She needs to be blocked. If she becomes a problem, then I'll address it. Or, just where's that type of intelligence to be able to look towards things and say, these things need to be in place. These boundaries need to be set. I need to approach a situation like this. I want to respect my woman because I understand how this works and how this fits together. Where's that intelligence? Because, it's great that he had that book intelligence, but this is where I would ask the question is like, what conversations did you have with him to try and understand his knowledge or intelligence as it relates to people and relationships? Because that's the real relevance to like him being book smart is great for making money. It's not great for you in terms of your ability to have a successful relationship with him if he can't understand how to be in a relationship.
Again, this is what he told me, so who really knows? But I just believe it based on his wealth of knowledge, and that's sort of what's kept sucking me in, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. I also believe that he is on the spectrum. He has always been against any type of therapy. In fact, that's what finally broke us up. Is I literally told him, if we're going to work through this, we have to have therapy. Like, I need help. I cannot be our therapist for this because I am definitely more emotionally intelligent than he is.
There we go. There we go. There it is.
Anyways, I just truly believe he's on the spectrum somewhere. I think that all that intelligence he has come with a cost. Okay, so back to the story. We were on a break, and...
So essentially that translates to he's crippled emotionally, like in terms of his intelligence, very crippled to the point where it's like unbearable. That's what she's really trying to say. But his book smartness is so much more advanced that it basically has crippled his emotional intelligence.
It's a little bit complex, but he lives in my hometown. That's where his job is, and that's also where my mom lives. I had moved to another town, which is a few hours away, with my grandparents because my grandma got breast cancer, and we needed to get closer to medical facilities. So what had happened is I ended up getting a new place of my own, and I invited him and my mom to come over to see my new place, and my mom, obviously, she had started with the meth, and so she couldn't drive. She actually totaled her car and had a DUI. That's one of those mugshots, unfortunately. And so he offered to bring her over to visit. Now, I knew he was spending some time with her, but...
Very important to date people that know how to set and abide by boundaries. I'm not saying that it's a crime that he wanted to help her, but it's her mom. You know what I mean? Um, if anyone's going to be taking the lead on helping her mom, it should be her. Not saying that it's wrong of him to have tried to help her out initially, but I just think that, like, if unless you as the woman, as the daughter, are like, hey, I want to help her out, I want to be there for her, I want to take care of her. If you're not leading that, then it's not really his place to be like, I'm gonna take whatever. Maybe just me. That might just be
But
me.
it did not seem like it was nefarious in any way. He would go over and like drop food off for her. He would, like if she had a yard sale, he would go and like purchase things. He basically was claiming that he was just trying to help her out because she was in a bad situation, and he was working desperately to get back with me. And so he thought if he helped my mom, that I would be more interested in getting back together. And it did. It made me more interested. I thought it was really loving and caring of him to do that. So they come
Would have been loving and caring for him to take care of you emotionally too. But yeah, whatever. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Human beings, yeah, emotional.
over to my house, and right away I just noticed like really weird energy. It feels like my mom is jealous of my interaction with him, which is really strange. And him and I weren't together at this time, and so I just thought it was really bizarre. She just kept causing problems, and she's like always trying to one up me, and she kept fighting with him. It was just really uncomfortable, and so they ended up staying the night. And it's awful because I was like really burned out just dealing with my mom. If you've been around someone that deals with those types of drugs, they're exhausting. And so I told them that like I was going to bed. He followed me to my bedroom, and he, like, as he's shutting my door, he's like, don't worry, I'll take care of your mom. What that really meant was he took her into my bathroom, and they did it on my bathroom floor. Now, of course, I didn't know.
That's twisted. That's twisted, man.
What was going on. They ended up leaving the next day, and then him and I, we basically started our relationship back up, and he ended up moving in with me. We were together for a few months. Things went really well for a while. He ends up having to go back to my hometown for work.
How she not hear that? I mean, it's silent when she's going to bed. I don't know. It's just weird, man. That's so weird. What?
We're still together. Things are a little strained, but we're still together. And one day I am speaking with my mom on the phone, and I hadn't told her yet that we were back together. But I felt like it was time. People were starting to find out because it had been several months, and it had been several good months, to be totally honest. And so I was on the phone with my mom, and I was telling her that we were back together, and she's like, are you sleeping with him? And I was like, yes, like we're back together. And she said, oh no, I just wish you wouldn't have done that. And I was like, why? She's like, you don't know who he is. And I was like, well, sure I do. She goes, no, you have no idea who he is. I have been sleeping with him. Sorry. Sorry, I'm trying so hard to not be one of those people that cry on the internet. And my dog gets really upset when I get upset. So I'll collect myself and we'll get back to it.
This is sick. What? But even her mom, like, this is sick. This is sick. Because why would you wait though till then to be like, oh, don't get with that guy. He's not the right guy for you. What type of? Sorry. Stuff's gonna. Sorry.
Okay, so she just tells me, and we get off the phone. She does not tell him that she's told me, and
like you birthed the child. Why? How do you? Oh, I don't know, man. Some people are just too sick. I can't even put myself in. What is that?
Those moments when time stands still, this is one of those moments for me. My heart just took off like a rocket. Just, it was beating so hard. I had to sit down. I felt just like a wave of just emotion just rush over me. It was just like all of these fears I had had for so long came true, but in the worst way possible. I never imagined that it would be with my mother. I just felt in my heart that he had definitely been with other people. I just did not think it would be my mom. So my grandma was actually on her way over, like while I...
Oh God, is the grandma next? Don't tell me grandma's next. Oh my, please, for my heart, my blood pressure, don't bring grandma into this. I promise you, if they talk about grandma's next, grandma gave him a handy, gave him a foot, grandma took out her denture, I'm turning this off. If they mention anything about granny getting in on the action, I'm turning this off. I just want you all to be aware there better not be any granny action here. Just letting you all know.
Was on the phone with my mom, and so she came into my house, and I was sitting on the couch, and I told her, like, sit down, I have something to tell you. And I told her, and it was just, again, it was a very intense moment for both of us. We were both very, very upset. My grandpa did not like my husband. He, I think, saw through a lot of things, and
yeah, I wonder why. Okay, the dude, your of course your grandpa don't like your grandpa is traumatized by your husband. You know how dads feel about a man smashing their daughter. Now imagine a man smashing your daughter and your daughter's daughter. Okay, your grandbaby, the one that she was feeding sweets to, taken to the park, and all that stuff. But I tell you, same man. I tell you, boy, you're lucky your grandpa didn't. He might have been in World War. You're lucky he's not a vet. You know, them war veterans, they go crazy. But I tell you, boy.
My grandma had always defended my husband to him, and so she felt bad for having done that.
Granny better not be in on this. Talking about defending my husband. Granny better not be in on. I'm telling you, Chad, I'm gonna turn this off if Granny's in on this.
And it was a really hard thing for us to process. And then, of course, like, the other element of this is that's my mom. How could my mom do that? It was really, really hard to hear it that day. I did not confront him right away. I took some time. I took a couple weeks, actually. He was in another town, so it was just easy for us not to communicate a lot. And I didn't tell him, and we just ended up just being really casual for that time. He could sense that.
What? How do you even? How can you even, like, when he's on top of you? How can you even look at his face anymore? For me, certain things that someone will just do, I can't even be turned on by them anymore. Because in my mind, it's just replaying over and over again. Like, how do you not see the man and be like, oh my God, you were literally with my mom? Like, how is that not so gross to you that you can't even get yourself there? It just, it's so weird.
Things were strained between us, and so we decided that we were going to meet up and try to do something fun. So he rented an Airbnb.
What's fun about being with a man who slept with your mom? That's so weird. Why would you do that to yourself? There's so many other men out there. There's so many other men out there. I promise you, chat, there's so many men out there. Like, and they're not even that bad. Like, you could even pick like a decent man that hasn't slept with your mom.
A bed and breakfast, and it was in a town that was in between us, and I was basically thinking, okay, that's where I will confront him. I knew I was going to record it because I have such a history of this person lying. And
okay, this is what I hate about this confrontation stuff. Okay, I really dislike this. I understand what she's trying to do in the sense that, like, she wants to get answers. So I know the human effect of why people do it, but sometimes, like, we also have to ask ourselves questions. What is the desired outcome of confronting him here? Are you hoping that he will admit to something you pretty much already know to be true, which is that he slept with your mom? Okay, let's go through both outcomes. Let's say you confront him and he admits to sleeping with your mom. What happens then? Are you going to be in a relationship with the guy who slept with your mom? Are you looking for some sort of explanation as to why he slept with your mom? Is there an explanation that would get you back in a relationship with him? Okay, that's number one outcome. Number two outcome, which is the more likely outcome, you confront him, he denies it, he lies about it, he gaslights you, he pretends it didn't happen, he tells you you're crazy, he says your mom's crazy, and whatever the case may be. And you don't really ever get an answer or any sort of satisfaction from confronting him. It's just a big emotional mess, back and forth, yelling, screaming match. In which case, what's the outcome there? You're still not going to be together because of this situation? So what's the difference? What's the actual purpose?
And getting him to admit a lie is like pulling teeth. I'm not exaggerating. He just will look for any excuse to not look like a liar. He does not accept that he is a liar. I don't think.
So you know what's going to happen, or you knew what was going to happen before you even confronted him. So again, the question is, what was the desired outcome? That he would somehow change his already existing nature as you know it, to somehow begin taking accountability when he's never taken accountability at any point in your relationship so far? So what's the actual purpose of the confrontation? It's not going to change the outcome either way.
I think he believes it. So I set up this basically date with him at this bed and breakfast so that I could get the information out of him that I wanted and try to get this all behind me. So I'll do another video on that, which will be me confronting him. I'm not doing it today. I'm pretty tapped out emotionally, but maybe tomorrow I will talk about how I confronted him, and then I have those recordings, and I'm also going to post clips from that. But again, please don't try to dig up identities here. If this goes sideways on me, I'm just going to pull out. And what you'll do if you do that, you're just going to hurt me, because I'm looking for community. I'm looking for support. I'm looking for a way to move on from this. I'm trying to figure out how to date again and move on with my life. I am lonely. And so if this goes badly for me and I feel like I'm hurting people, which is not what I want to do, I will pull out, and you're just going to be hurting me and isolating me more, which is the last thing I need, because I have isolated myself quite a bit. Anyways, thank you so much for all your love and support. The comments have just been incredible. It's been really fun to see all the different countries of people that this has reached. Like, it's shocking to me, but it's really fun to see like where you guys are from. And you've all sent such encouraging and loving messages and comments. And I really appreciate you, especially the people that follow and like care to follow, because they want to see kind of like what happens with my life. It means so much to me. Like, I literally need a mom. Like, I don't know, Bethany Frankel, you gonna be my mom? Anyways, thank you so much. We'll talk more tomorrow. Okay, so part 3. Again, I'm that unlucky girl whose man, this guy, got with this woman who also happens to be my mom. So if you haven't watched the previous 2 parts, you might want to. This is part 3, which is how I confronted him. So again, my mom had told me over the phone that her and him had been sleeping together, and I, at this point, was just shocked, because in my heart, I felt like he had been with someone, but I never dreamed it was my mom. So basically, he wanted to see me. I took some time to just process this. He did not know I knew. And then he ended up renting a bed and breakfast for us, which was in between the 2 towns we lived in. So I drove there to meet him. And I knew I was going to record the conversation, because I've just had so many scenarios, like if you see my past videos, of just insane lies this person has told me. And then he always tries to downplay it later. So I wanted to have like the actual recording, so he could never try to make this seem like it isn't as bad as it is, because that is just his forte. That's what he does. And in the next part, I'll start including some of those clips from the audio recording. I found an app on my phone that I could use that would help me record without him knowing. Also, side note, in the recording, when I finally tell him, like, I recorded you, you can never deny that this happened, he called me twisted for having recorded him, even though he had just like admitted to the worst thing you could do to, I mean, there are worse things, I'm certain, but he admitted to something pretty terrible, and he called me twisted for having the audacity to record it. So we met for lunch. First, it was pretty awkward, but we met for lunch, and then we went to the bed and breakfast, and he immediately wanted to jump in bed. And I was like, no, we have to talk. There's some...
Yeah, because he hasn't been getting any from your mom in a while. That's why he wanted to jump in bed. He's starving. Ain't no mom around, ain't granny around.
Important things here to discuss. I started out kind of light with some of the smaller lies, because I just decided like I was going to try really hard to break up with him from this point on. And so my goal was, just for my own peace of mind, to try to get him to admit to all of the lies. And I didn't cover them all, but the big ones, you know, for example, one of the first lies, I did a video on that before, just before this one actually, that he bought me a fake wedding ring. And he never wanted to admit that was the truth about it. So that was like one of the first lies. Another lie was that he's not a virgin when we got married, which I was a virgin. He wasn't, but he claimed he was. And that was also a really big deal to me. I did not care that he was a virgin when we got married, because I didn't expect him to be a virgin. That's a choice that I made. I was young. I was 19. He's older than me. And so I did not expect him to be a virgin, but I do expect honesty. And so the thing that bothered me about it was just that he wasn't truthful. Some of the other just like stupid little lies. One time we went down south, and he, like, my grandma was with us, and my grandma's like, I'm telling you, chat, if she says anything about him doing anything strange or sexual with the granny, I'm turning this off. She keeps mentioning granny, and is making me more and more nervous. This granny talk, I don't like this. Okay? This is gonna bother me. It's like my mom, truly. She's always been there for me. And he bought her a couch, like a really nice leather couch. And then... Why is he buying granny a couch? Chat, why is he buying granny a couch? I'm gonna get mad in a second. Why is he buying granny a leather couch? What for?
What does Granny need a leather couch for?
Like for months and months, he kept saying there were shipping issues, that Macy's wouldn't deliver. We were in Southern California, but we lived in Northern California, and he claimed that Macy's wouldn't ship to us. All these ridiculous lies. But the truth is, like, he never bought the couch. That was another thing I got him to admit to. Just stupid little lies that have just bugged me over the years.
So what, now he has Granny's address with no couch to show up and do what?
Another one was when we got together, he convinced me to sell my car. I actually had a nicer car than the car he was going to have me drive, but he didn't want me to have a car payment. And so he convinced me to sell it. I sold my car, which I really loved. And then I started driving his old car. He bought himself a brand new sports car. And then one day he called me up and he said, I'm going to get you your dream car. And he's like, I got to go down south to get it. I'm going to trade this one in for it. And I was like so excited, when in reality, he took that car down there and just sold it. And he never came back with the car. So I effectively lost a vehicle. And my grandparents gave me like an old beater that they still had at the time. So anyways, we're just like on a roll. All these lies are trickling in. And then it's time to do the big one, right? Like, did you...
The real reason he did that was control, really, truthfully, because you already work for him, right? He's your boss. So that isn't even enough control. Men like that, right? They want to make sure in every capacity of your life, there's no way to actually escape mentally and physically. It's supposed to be a mental and emotional and spiritual prison. So your work, your job is one, right? If he's your boss, he controls your money, he can get you fired. That puts fear in you. You won't be able to stand up for yourself. That's one, right? Already in the relationship, he isolates you from his family at the very least, so you don't have any way of corroborating stories. That's control. Now he takes away your car that you had that is in your name, that you would be able to pay for and get around and do things. What the number one way you're going to leave if you ever find out he's cheating on you or you see some crazy situation is your car. Magically, he's finessed his way into getting you to get rid of your car. Now you don't really have a car, or the car that you're driving is a beater. Now, who has more control? He does.
Sleep with my mom. So first I asked him, it's time to do the big one, right? Like, did you sleep with my mom? So first I asked him if he slept with my mom. He immediately says no. I asked him again and again and again, and he just keeps telling me, no, 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 I wouldn't do that. That's so gross. Like, yeah, you are gross, dude, because you actually did do it. Sorry, I'm getting a little, there's a lot of anxiety still in me around all this. And that's part of why I created this account, is I'm trying really hard to move past it. And I am also trying very hard not to ever go back to him, but he's extremely persistent in my life. And I'm also trying to cut ties with my mom, which is really hard to do all that at once. And so anyways, I apologize if I'm a little bit nervous. So ultimately, I had talked to my mom and told her that I had planned to do this with him. And so the only good thing that she has done is she did have my back in this. And she told me, if you need me to call in and get him to admit this, I will. And so because he kept denying it to me, I had to call her in, which sucked, because I really didn't want to have to involve her in it. And I feel like she feels like she has less blame now because she helped me get him to admit it. And that's just not true. You still did something insanely wrong to your daughter. I don't have a kid, but I did play a very big part in raising my sister. And I can tell you, I would never do anything to intentionally hurt that kid, not ever. And so I just can't imagine, your own daughter, that you could do this. So we get my mom on the phone, and this is kind of why I had to really heavily edit the clips from the audio that I wanted to share with you, because keep in mind, my mom is on very, very serious drugs. That's why she looks the way she does in her mugshot that I've showed you, because, people that live that sort of life, it definitely changes them. And the one that starts with an M, the big one that starts with an M, that's the one that she's hooked on. And so in the recording, she's kind of all over the place. She's really loud and obnoxious, expletives everywhere. But she does kind of get a moment of clarity, and she says, okay. She says to him, this is going to be the hardest thing you've ever done, but you need to admit this for her. And I think she believed that I was trying to stay with him, because she says in the clip, that you guys are gonna have to work through this, but it'll make you guys a better couple or whatever. But I went into this believing that I would never be with him ever again. So that's why the clips are pretty heavily edited. She eventually is starting to get off the phone because she thinks I haven't asked him yet. And so she goes to get off the phone. She goes, okay, do you need anything else? And I was like, well, yeah, I've already asked him multiple times and he has said no. And that just sends her into like a rage. You'll hear it on the clip, but she says to him, okay, she's like, ask him in front of me. And so I ask him again. He denies it. I really believe he thought she was going to have his back in this, which is just insane to me. I don't actually believe my mom was into him in any way. Every transaction they had either gifts or money involved. And so, you know, keep in mind, my mom was selling her body to get the things that she wanted, which starts with an M. And so because of that, you know, first off, as soon as she told me that she had been with him, I cannot tell you how fast I ran to my OBGYN and had every single test and panel, all of it done, and repeated again at 3 months and repeated again at 6 months. Anyway, she finally says to him, like, you're going to tell her the truth. And these aren't the exact words. You'll hear it later when you watch the clips that I'm going to upload. But anyway, he does eventually admit to it, but only when I say, look, because she also asks him and he denies it again, and that just really upsets her. And so I finally say to him, because I know what he wants and I know what he's afraid of. He's afraid of losing me. Keep in mind, when they did get together, part of it was when we were broken up, and it's just really gross because he has been very plain with the fact that he was like using her, but thinking about me, and like I was the closest thing to her. It's really gross. Like, I'm not even going to tell you some of the most disgusting things he said to me. So I finally say to him, if we're going to work through this, you have to admit it. And he did. Again, I wasn't planning to work through it, but I just had to say whatever I could. So the clips will be up in the next part. Hello, me again, the girl whose mom slept with my husband, now ex-husband. So as promised, I did the story time. And as you know from my story time, I recorded the encounter of me confronting my husband about sleeping with my mom. My mom had told me over the phone. I waited a couple weeks to kind of like ground myself and like wrap my head around it as best I could. And then I confronted it. So as promised, I'm going to share clips of that recording with you. But this time I will hold your hand. I am giving a trigger warning because it's awful. And so I'm here for you. Okay. So this first part, I had already been speaking with him for probably 10 minutes, just trying to get some of the smaller lies that he had told me out of the way. Like, did you give me a fake ring? Did you actually just sell my car? And when you told me you were getting me a new car, but really you just sold my car and I was carless. Like, I was getting him to admit those types of things while building up to the big one. Okay. So this first recording is me kind of building up to try to get him to admit the truth to me without having to involve my mom. My mom was on standby to call in and help me confront him if he was going to continue to lie about it. But I really didn't want to do it that way unless I absolutely had to. So this is me trying to get him to be honest with me for the first time in his entire life. So give me your hand and let's go through this together, okay?
I've always still thought you to be the most honest person in my life. No, listen to me. No, listen. I have. Like, up even until recently, I thought you were the most honest person, that I could trust you with anything, and that you would never do anything to intentionally hurt me. Then you sold my car that I loved, right after my grandpa died. I mean, weeks after my grandpa died. Even though I had phone conversations with you, even after you took the car where I told you I didn't want to go through it. I didn't want to go through with it. You still sold the car. But none of that matters to me more than what's coming next. I want you to be totally honest with me. Have you slept with anybody but me in your entire life?
No.
Have you slept with anybody but me in your entire life?
No.
I'm the only person that you've had sexual intercourse with.
Of course.
Why do you keep moving your eyes when you tell me that?
Because it really hurts my feelings.
What hurts your feelings?
That you would think that. I mean, I just don't have that compatibility with other people, okay?
Did you have sex with my mom?
No. Come on, that's gross.
I can't believe it. I actually can't believe it. Even the question itself is like, that's a question that you pause on. Like, your response would be like, what did you just say? Because it's almost like it's such a shocking question to even ask, especially if you didn't do it, that it's like, that's not something you just say, oh no, I didn't sleep with your mom. It's like, what? Sleep with your who? That is an insane question to even ask. So what you were asking?
Did you have sex with my mom?
No. I don't feel that way about your mom.
I don't want to have to get her on the phone. I want you to, for the first time in our relationship, this right here is going to determine what happens for the rest of your and my life.
Let's talk to your mom.
Did you have sex with my mother?
I couldn't, George.
Are you certain?
Yes. Let's get her on the phone.
You've never had sex with my mother?
I don't want to insult your mom, but...
You didn't recently go into the dollar store and get so aroused that you had to go relieve yourself?
I mean, I did get turned on, I will admit that.
By my mom?
Yeah.
You can't defend this. You can't defend this. He's not even making the lie make sense. He's not even making the lie make sense. He started off the questioning way of saying, no, that's gross. I would never do that. That's gross. I would never do that to your mom. I'm not even into her like that. I'm not even attracted to her. And then a couple seconds later, he admits to being so turned on in the dollar store that he had to relieve himself. Yeah, he's on the spectrum, all right. He's the low emotional intelligence for circa. I don't even know how. Whatever. Yeah, whatever. That's
certain?
Yes. Let's get her on the phone.
You've never had sex with my mother?
I don't want to insult your mom, but...
You didn't recently go into the dollar store and get so aroused that you had to go relieve yourself?
I mean, I did get turned on, I will admit that.
By my mom?
Yeah. Because I was imagining you.
But you didn't have sex with...
No, just stop. So, you know, sometimes when people tell you stuff that's so ridiculous, you just have to realize, like, I'm not getting the truth. It's happened to me before. You know, when you're in a relationship with someone that is a compulsive liar, it's happened to me before. You can get so obsessed with trying to get the truth that it consumes your mind. I've been in that place. I've been where she's at. It consumes your mind. You're like, I have to know every detail of what happened. I have to know what they were thinking. I want them to admit this. I want them to admit that. They're going to tell me every detail and I'm going to learn the truth about what was there like I was actually. And I promise you, when you're dealing with someone who's a compulsive liar, you're chasing, it's like a high almost that you will just never get from a compulsive liar. They will always spin the narrative. They're never going to tell you. You're imagining you're going to come to this point where they just lay down on the floor and they just say, I'll be honest with you and I'll admit to you everything that I did and how I was wrong and I hurt you and I did that. You're waiting for that magical moment. It's like chasing a high. But that moment it never comes. Not with the compulsive liars. It never comes. And that's why it's just so it's laughable, but it's laughable in a sad way because she's chasing this moment, and I know, and I'm sure she knows deep down in her heart she's never gonna get it, and even if she does get it, for what purpose, right? Like, and it's just like the lie just keeps getting more and more ridiculous that it's just comical at that point. What, like, I'm not attracted to your mom, but the only reason I was turned on when I saw her in the dollar store was because I was thinking of you when I was looking at your mom. Yeah. All right. Sometimes you just got, when you're dealing with liars on that level, you just got to be like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, you got it. You got it. It's whatever. Don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it.
That you had to go relieve yourself?
I mean, I did get turned on, I will admit that.
By my mom?
Yeah. Because I was imagining you.
But you didn't have sex with my mom?
No, she didn't want to anyway.
But
I have no words. I don't even have words. I don't even have words.
She wanted to?
No, I was turned on. I was thinking about you, honestly, okay?
Okay, and you've never had sex with her?
No.
Not once?
No.
Like maybe just one time?
No. I mean, I will admit that there were times when, I was turned on by her because I was thinking of you, honestly.
I'm still holding your hand. Now stay with me. The next part, I'm gonna bring my mom on, unfortunately, because as you can see, he's just denying, and still not being truthful with me. Okay, are you still with me? This is part 2 of me confronting my husband, this time with my mom. So I'm in person with my husband, my mom's on the phone. That's how this went down. And I'm recording on my phone, but he's not aware that I'm recording. Again, I'm gonna hold your hand and I'm giving a trigger warning. I need you to understand that, again, my mom is on some really heavy things that start with an M. And so she does tend to have a lot of profanity and expletives, and I cut out and edited as much as I could, but that's partly why the trigger warning is on here. Also the content of what we're dealing with here. So just bear with me on that. So if you watched part 1, you will have heard that I'm asking him over and over, have you slept with anybody but me? And then I finally asked him, did you sleep with my mom? And he's just denying. And so then I had to call my mom, and that's why my mom's on the phone. And I didn't catch the beginning of it in this clip because it just wasn't important. This is kind of when we get down to the nitty gritty. And this is where we really press him to try to get a confession from him. And again, I didn't want to do it this way because I do feel like my mom thinks that she has less blame here now that she helped him confess. And that's just not the case. And I didn't want her to feel that way, but I had no way to get him to be honest with me without her. And I truly think he was shocked that she didn't stay true to the lie and keep it for him. So give me your hand again and let's listen to part 2. And it's heavy. Okay, it's heavy.
Goes against me and puts me down. I want to hear none of it. This is between you and I hope you do this with her because this will be good for both of you. It's going to be the hardest thing you guys probably ever do. Don't you dare talk shit about me or use me as an excuse for what's going on. You need to own it.
Hey, I don't feel bad about you by trying to help you.
You're already doing it. And I'm telling you, if you around and you lie to her one more second and you don't give her details that she needs, I will tell her more and I will prove it. And you better think about that. It doesn't even matter. You should be doing this the right way anyways. Don't use me as an excuse or make it seem like this is between you and her. I'm gonna go. Are you okay?
Yeah, he keeps telling me that it didn't happen.
You got it. Okay, then you know what?
She's gonna look at your messages.
No, you fucking answer me right now in front of my daughter. Did you and I
No, we did. I
Oh
I'm attracted to you, okay?
You and I, you're going down. I'm going to get Jana. I'm going to get everybody that's been around you. Okay? It's going to go further. We're going to talk about that.
I didn't have sex with Jana.
I don't care what you did with her.
And
you did.
And you know I didn't.
Cross the line. You're arguing with me about my daughter and the fact that you told her you're telling, say it again. Ask him so I can hear this. I'm sick right now.
Did you have sex with my mother? Ever?
No, I don't.
You're fucking disgusting, and I hope she dumps your ass like a hot fucking napkin. You're a liar, and I will prove this to her, and I'm sad for you, because she loves you unconditionally, and you're just determined to continue to be a liar. And he manipulated both of us, by the way. You were helpful, hardly ever. And I'm sad, but I will never, ever be able to forgive you for this. You're a fucking liar. You need to go by the way.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to get too emotional. He's lying to you. Okay? At the hardest time in your life.
I know he's lying. I know it.
Okay. Yeah. I don't even have to waste my breath. I gotta settle down. I'm gonna have a heart attack. Because this is not right in so many ways. And you told him that I've already said I have a huge, I'm like getting hardly breathe. You told him I have a part in this, right?
Yeah, of course.
And I've admitted it.
One more time, and please don't lie to me. Not one more time. Not one more time about anything. If you had sex with my mom, we can talk about this and we can work through it. If you lie to me about having sex with my mom, we will never be able to work through it.
I did.
Yeah.
You did have sex with my mom?
Yeah, I did.
Yes, he did.
Are you still with me? You're gonna have to hold my hand now. There is a little bit more that I want to share with you, but I think that's enough for today. Again, if you're wondering why I'm doing this, I am trying so hard to heal, and I'm trying to hold myself accountable, and I need community. I need support. I need friends. So thank you for being here.
Okay, chat. I don't even know. I don't even know what we just watched there. Quite an interesting story. I think there's a lot of points though to learn from, as crazy as that story is and as out there as that story seems. One of which is definitely always confirm that the guy you're meeting is the guy that you think you're meeting by meeting his family. I know that sometimes in marriage and relationships, you can get to a place where it's like, oh, well, the family feels like this about me and my family feels like this about you. So maybe we should just go about our relationship just between us and not have to worry about them or worry about other people. We'll just run away together to a land far away and be together and love each other. Sounds great in a fairy tale story, but I promise you in the real world, you, especially you as a woman, will be a lot safer if you meet people in his life that have known him since before you to be able to verify the information that he shares with you about himself. Because, guys are really, never forget, when you meet someone, you're learning them. You're not changing them into who you want them to be. You're learning who they've already been since the beginning of time, since their inception, since their birth. And you're deciding based on who they've been throughout their entire life, if that's someone you can continue to be with for the rest of your life. And the worst part about that is I think that if a lot of people, right, especially even women, went about their relationships by learning the guy that they're with, they would realize I don't actually want to be with this guy, which is why I think that some women end up in a situation where rather than asking so many questions that they eventually get answers to, they are like, no, you know what? Don't tell me. Just leave me in the dark. Actually, purposely don't tell me about these things so that I can feel like you are my exact fantasy. And as long as I don't know, I don't hear about it, I can think that you're the most amazing, awesome man like I'm imagining you to be. But the only person that gets hurt with that narrative in the end is you, right? So I'm not saying necessarily that that's exactly what this woman did, because I think there's an element of just being naive and being young that just kind of spiraled out of control there. But it definitely does play a factor in like, hey, the less I know about you, the less it can hurt me, the less it'll make me feel like I'm making a bad decision by being in a relationship with you, right? Muzna says, hire a private investigator. Well, obviously, that sounds good in a movie or a TV show, but in reality, not everyone's going to be able to hire a private investigator in getting to know a guy. But the best way to investigate is by meeting friends and family and having good, proper conversation with those friends and family and being able to confirm or deny some of the claims that he's made towards you. The moment you start seeing those inconsistencies, because I promise you will, once you start meeting his outer circle or even his inner circle, that's when you'll start knowing, okay, these things aren't adding up. These things aren't making sense. And it'll become a lot more obvious to you what parts he's lying about. Okay. All right, chat. Let's hop into our next segment of the day. For those of you who know what's coming, spam it up in the chat. For those of you who are unfamiliar, you better get ready because it is a special time. It is an amazing time, and it is indeed a time where you're going to laugh and you're going to cry. Don't look at your clock. Don't look at your watch. Don't look at your phone. Don't look nowhere else in your entire home. Should I say it loud or quiet, chat? If you don't know the time, I'm about to share with you the time. Are you ready? Score time. Okay, chat, let's hop into our Discord section of the show. For those of you who are unfamiliar here, I have no idea what that was all about. Discord times where all the amazing members of our Players Club Discord community, you won't believe this, our Players Club Discord community get an opportunity to ask me a question about their relationship or their situationship, and I answer it live on the show. Now, there are a few different ways for you to submit your question to me. You can do that for all of you watching on YouTube by going into my bio and clicking where it says Players Club Discord and dropping your question into our relationship advice forum there once you join the Discord. Now, this is our free relationship advice forum. It's a first come, first serve forum. So I'm just one person. I can only answer so many questions in a day. So it'll probably take me a couple of weeks to get to your question if you ask it today, just because of the nature of how many questions there are here. But if you're impatient and you don't want to wait so long to get your question answered, there's another way for you to submit your question. This is our premium relationship advice forum. The way that this works is you go into my bio and you click where it says premium relationship Discord advice. And then once you click that, it'll prompt you to donate to the show and type in your Discord username and the title of your question. When you send in your question, with the donation, I will then be able to know that that's you and that's your question. And then you can drop your question into our premium relationship advice forum, which is like a skip the line pass, because I answer these questions before I go into the free section. Okay, so think of it like being able to skip the line at a theme park. Okay, now the third way to submit your question is for those of you who want to ask me a question but you don't want your information read out on the show. This is our private relationship advice hotline. The way that this works is that you can send me in a question and you type it out as many paragraphs as you want, details. When you send it into me, I then respond with a voice message and I send it back to your email that you'll send in your question with on that link. Okay, so it's a very easy process for you. You just gotta click the link and then you type out your question and then it'll send. Okay, so that's for those of you who want to send me a private question. You can do that anytime as well. That link is at the top of my bio on YouTube. Okay, so let's start off with our first premium question here. This one comes from Mel. Okay, Mel asks, was it real or was I played? Okay, Mel says, we met, oops, let me put my glasses on here. Mel says, was it real or was I played? Okay, we met at Walmart mid-April. I, who am 28, looked a mess, but he still, let me make sure this is the right length here. Let me just pull this out a little bit. But he still approached me, offered to pay for my things, and texted me 5 minutes later to take me out. I later learned he's spiritual like me, and we both felt our meeting was fated, like it was fate when you guys met. I told him I was busy for the next few weeks, and he said he'd wait. I wasn't initially attracted, he's not my type, but I was open to trying something new. He was consistent, daily texts, sweet gestures, and pursued me while I kept my distance. Our first date lasted 5 hours. Okay, that's not good. All right. Mel, I advise you all, maybe you haven't learned it in the show, these marathon dates is what I call them, are not good, especially at the beginning, because they trick you into giving you a false sense of intimacy and closeness with someone who is still a stranger to you. Especially when you get past that 5, 6, 7, 8 hours, you can feel that in one date, you've had like several dates. So now things that you wouldn't do on a first date, you feel more comfortable doing, like sleeping with him. After our first date, he was thoughtful, bringing me Indian food, flowers, and even a lamp I said I needed. We hadn't kissed until our third date, and I was upfront about saving myself for marriage. We had an intense makeout session, but no pineapples. He kept trying, but I said no. Things shifted when I found out he dated a girl I used to know and was surprised he could pull. I said, what? Okay. I suddenly became more invested and my anxious attachment kicked in, because now you're thinking, okay, he's actually more of, I guess, a desirable man than I was initially imagining he was. He made comments like, marry me already and you're my soulmate. Eventually, I accidentally introduced him as my boyfriend and he made it official. What do you mean accidentally? Okay. But after that, he began pulling away, texting less, canceling plans, being hot and cold. After he bailed last minute on a date I got fully ready for, I stopped initiating and pulled back my energy. He blew up my phone, apologized, and begged to see me. Then out of nowhere, he called me to say he wasn't ready for a relationship. I played it cool, but met up to return his things. Instead, he bought me gifts, said he regretted ending things, and asked me for another chance. I stayed calm, kept my boundaries, and told him I need space. This sounds like an emotionally unstable guy. Anytime a guy says to you he's not ready for a relationship, you tell him, you immediately start running. Just say, oh, perfect. Thank you for telling me that. Yeah, we don't need to talk. We don't need to speak. You don't need to see me anymore. Which you are kind of doing, but you kind of have to stand on that because you can't go from I'm not ready for a relationship to I want to be with you forever. You know what I mean? That's just too much of a roller coaster. I told him I need a no contact period. He was really sad, gave me flowers, and said he made a mistake. Did he really like me or was he playing me? How do I make this dynamic work in my favor if and when we reconnect? This story happened 2.5 months ago. No pineapples. So here's the thing, Mel. The way that you make this work in your favor is by making him beg to be with you again. Beg by not just begging with words, but beg by showing you how serious he is now. Now, you still need to give it that time period. Like you said, it's been 2.5 months, so it's been a while. But definitely that time period is necessary for him to see that you are serious. And he's gonna have to make some sort of grand gesture or big approach or like, please forgive me. I think there's been enough time. If you haven't been talking for the past 2.5 months, that's enough time. But at this point, your job is not to reach out and say, I'm ready to talk or I want to talk now or whatever the case may be. If he reaches out again to check up on you, then you can respond and then you can allow it to go from there. The reason that I don't want to give you advice like, oh, tell him I'm ready to talk now, is that it's going to seem like all is forgiven. We still want him to feel like by the skin of his teeth, he was able to get you back into his life. So if in the next, couple of weeks or the next couple of months, maybe he reaches out to you and you're still single and you're open to the idea of exploring a relationship, then you can respond to him. But if he doesn't message you or say anything to you at all, then I think it's best for you to just move forward, because I just don't like anytime dealing with a guy that has said he's not ready for a relationship. I don't feel like those issues, whatever the issue may be, get resolved in a matter of a couple of weeks, okay? Even in 2.5 months. This is why, one of the most important things, I wouldn't say that you should have asked him when you guys were together, but to hear or listen to is if he is saying that he's not ready for a relationship, to try and understand why. Some guys won't explain it, but, most of the time, if he's saying, oh, it's my job, I don't have enough money, my life is in disarray, those are things that don't necessarily just get fixed in 2.5 months, okay? So that's another thing to understand if he is going to approach you again later, is that you would be questioning him about if you were to meet up with him, how is your life different now that all of a sudden you're ready for a relationship? And are you sure about that? Because you cannot date a guy who is not 100% sure that he's ready to commit to a relationship, because you won't be able to hold him accountable. So to answer your question, for now, you're doing nothing. Unless he reaches out to you in a meaningful, intentional way of like, hey, I'm just checking up on you to see how you're doing. I want to see if you would give me a chance to go out on a date with you or have a conversation with you. That's the only thing. You should only be responding to something like that. You should never be doing the reaching out, especially not in this scenario. There's just no purpose, because you did need a break from him, and he really has to pull himself out of the gutter if he's going to try and get access to you again after pulling a stunt like that. Okay. Let's hop into our next question. By the way, I did see Just Chess. You said that I skipped yours in the free section. It's titled Dating World as a Virgin. So I'm going to make sure that I get to that today. Okay. Because I've seen that there for a while. Let's hop into this one, which comes from just a little bit. Organizing boundaries / wish list. Okay. Hi, Tomisin. I have been a player since the initial launch and have studied our textbook do's and don'ts. I do the do's that we discussed, such as holding off on pineapples, explaining what I'm looking for without being specific, and stating my boundaries as it relates to what I allow, etc. While we have organized a pineapples timeline, men are also men, which means that they will have their manly vices. Yeah, of course. We also talk about how important it is to not set the wrong precedent in the beginning. 100%. The beginning is such an important time. So I'm wondering if men show interest in me and I'm holding off on the activity, but one of my boundaries is that any man I'm dating will not be dating or indulging in pineapples with other women simultaneously, and I cannot control how he acts on his manly vices. How do I navigate through what I want for me and what he wants for him so that we can be our own adults while dating correctly? Well, you don't in that sense. What I mean by that is like, you have to let that guy decide if his relationship with you is a priority enough for him to be focused on you. The best thing for you to do in that scenario is, because you're not going to be able to control him, and you're not going to be able to say, well, you date me, you can't sleep with anyone else except for, it's just not going to come across right. It's not going to hit right. What you need to do is, you, as you're dating him, need to start learning and understanding, what is he choosing to do with his time? How is he choosing to go and approach this relationship? And then when you get that answer, you decide to yourself, is this something that can work for me? Is this something that I like the answer or his response or his approach? Or is this something I don't like? Because like you mentioned, in his manly nature and his manly vices, you as a woman aren't going to be able to change his already existing nature just because, that's what you want for him, right? What he wants for himself is the real thing that you have to focus your time and energy on learning. So the truth of the matter is, some guys might approach it where they date you, they know they want you, and they don't bother doing anything with any other woman, right? In which case, that might be a guy that you prioritize and want to take seriously. Some guys might deal with it where they say, okay, I'm dating you, but if we're not going to be sleeping together, I'll sleep with 8 other girls while dating you simultaneously. And if that doesn't work for you, and you learn that he's doing that and that's his stance on that situation, then you can go ahead and leave the relationship and act accordingly. But it's really about learning what he would rather do, not trying to change him or tell him what he must or mustn't do. Because you're only one of two things. You're either going to come across as like the police. You're trying to police his behavior and police his what he's doing on it with his own spare time. In which case, even if he abides by that, he'll resent you because he'll feel like you're trying to boss him around. And number two, you'll also make it more enticing to maybe possibly go behind your back and stop telling you things because he knows where you stand on certain things. That's why I don't like that at the beginning. You're basically telling him, if you do sleep with someone, don't tell me. Don't be honest with me about it and hide it from me very well, because you're going to lose your opportunity to date me. Whereas if you don't talk about that and you just let him do what he wants to do, then you learn that, or you ask him about it in a non-judgmental way, then you'll actually get the truth. Then you can, go about it how you want to go about it from there. I feel like that's the better way to go about it, right? Regarding my wish list, one of my requirements as a partner is to be open and accepting to any and all genders and races and ethnicities, and love me for me as a person, not because I'm the race that I am and they want to force themselves into my black family or come to the cookout. This kind of sounds like you're dating white guys, maybe, or just guys outside of your race. Okay. When I was younger, my cousin dated casually and would bring various women to our family get-togethers. He got married in 2018 to a white woman, and had my 2 nieces that I love and adore. Things were smooth between me and her until this year. My uncle was boomed on New Year's Day. What do you mean boomed on New Year's Day? Like hung? Like that type of boom? She came to the funeral. Oh, so that type of boom. Okay. All right. So sorry, that was sad. She came to the funeral and the repast. The repast was in my home. Everyone got pretty drunk, but she was obliterated. Wait, what? Why were you okay? Funeral, you guys are okay. You guys are all getting drunk at the funeral? Okay. As my cousin tried to carry her to their car, she began screaming, N-word, put me down. You N-words ain't poop, put me down. This escalated so fast, I wasn't even able to stay. Anyways, I stare at the entire time until they get her in the car. I address it with my mother to make sure she heard it. She excused her behavior, claiming she was drunk. Huh? What type of drunk behavior is that? While I've never been discriminatory towards anyone undisclosed, I try to avoid her as much as possible now. She's at every family event since my uncle's passing and asks for a hug every time she sees me. There are many white women like her that try so hard to get with the guys of my family. They cosplay as me and the black girls in the family, cutting their hair to make edges, using unnecessary black scents. Black scents is funny. Trying to get in every picture and somehow always happen to get pregnant. No one else notices it. They all just think they casually care about our family. I keep my opinions to myself. However, this is exactly why my wish list is curated the way it is. I'm not sure how else to explain that being drunk is not an excuse to throw slurs or specifically say N-word if you aren't black. Should I be vague/silent about this, or is it reasonable to address this publicly? My mom's side of the family will likely question my distance regarding anything pertaining to her. I'm 22, by the way. Thanks so much in advance. Your boundary, or sorry, your wish list, I should say, is not wrong for being your wish list, but what you mustn't do is you mustn't date men and be very detailed and descriptive about what this wish list is and why it is the way that it is. I know it sounds very counterintuitive because it sounds like just open, honest communication with guys. The problem is you won't get a chance early on to learn what type of guy that guy is. And whether or not he fits the mold of what you're looking for. And you know how you're talking about, these white girls, they'll cosplay as black women and things like that, right? Like, you don't want a guy very early on. These are part of the, like, what I call trade secrets. Giving away a trade secret, like, I really dislike how this white woman treats, my family or approach this, and I really don't want to date someone who is like that. You're giving the guy the map specifically, and the trade secret specifically of you and your traumas and the things you've been through, that you better not act like this. You better act like that in order to get access to me, because I will not accept someone who acts this way. That is bad from the sense that now he knows if I am someone who's used to saying the N-word, if I'm someone who's used to acting this particular way or treating people this particular way, or I know I can get drunk and be weird and do crazy stuff like how she's describing, then I better make sure I don't do that when I'm around her, at least not at the beginning, because if I do that in the beginning, when she's less invested, she'll definitely walk away. The problem with situations like this is when people hide their real nature from you in the beginning, it tricks you into believing that they're actually this way. And then you don't begin to find out what they're actually like until down the line when you're so invested, so in love with the person that it's almost like too late to walk away now because of all the investment. You feel like it's too late to walk away because of all the investment you've put and time and energy you've put into the relationship. And then you end up in a situation where you're like super shocked that the person you thought was good and had a great heart is actually a really nasty, very, very vile person, when in reality, they were just hiding that side from you the entire time. I always say, come into these relationships and dating stages, talking stages with no judgment. Even if you have real judgment, pretend to have no judgment. Make them feel comfortable talking about anything that makes them look bad, look horrible, sound horrible, and embrace everything that they could possibly do or say, okay? Up until the point you know for sure that this isn't someone I would ever want to be in a relationship with. That is the best way to go about it, because then you can actually confirm you are acting the way you would naturally act if I wasn't here to police you. You are being your real authentic self. From that real authentic self, I am then deciding if that is someone I want to be with. Not you acting in the way that I would like someone to act, a partner to act, and then tricking me into desiring the version of you that is just mirroring what you think I want. And then now I'm confused because that's not actually you, right? So have your wish list be your wish list, but keep that secret to you as a trade secret. And then as time goes on, put that guy in situations where you get a chance to test and see what he's like, or ask him questions to kind of get an understanding of what he would, how far he would go or what he would do. For you, a question that you might ask, it doesn't have to be on the first date, but as you're dating a guy, is you could start almost egging him on and be like, yo, you think it's like really that bad if a white guy says the N-word? Like, you think it's really that big of a deal if they say it in the songs, or, you know what I mean? They're at a festival and they say the N-word. Like, is it really that big a deal? Like, don't you sometimes say it with your boys or something like that? Like, almost seem like you're okay with the idea of doing it. This is a way to weed out people if you're really curious about this. Then when you kind of say it like that, if he really is someone that like he says the N-word on his own time, or he says it to his boys behind, you know, black people's back, or when he gets angry or whatever, that's something that he does, right? He might say, yeah, you know, honestly, you know, sometimes me and my boys, we say the N-word. It's not really that big a deal. If it's in a song, we'll say it, you know, it's not really that big a deal. Then you'll get the real answer. Okay, and I know it sounds very manipulative, but that's the way you get real truths from people, right? When you almost make it feel like I'm on your side. And I know it sounds weird, but I promise you, as a black woman, even because it's happened to me as a black guy, right? When you're with someone of another race and you almost make it seem like, yo, you have a pass. Like, you know, you're with me. It's just me and you. You can say whatever you want. You can say the N-word. You can talk, or it's a freeze. You're free here. Like, I'm with you. I don't judge you. Trust me, people will start to feel really safe saying whatever is on their mind. So even if they have some like racist views or some crazy views on black people, I promise you, if you can make him feel comfortable enough, any guy that you're dating, they will let you know how they really feel if they feel differently. So it's just about creating an environment where they feel comfortable being honest with you about who they are, and then you'll get to see the truth there that way. Okay, let's hop into our next question here. Yes, just I seen your skipped statement. Okay, let's hop into Jess's question. It is, so this was dating in medical school. Where was the one about dating the world as a virgin? Did I do this one? Why is that open? Dating world as a virgin. Hi, Tomisin. I'm 23, single, and have never had a boyfriend yet. I had some questions I wanted to ask. One, on a previous show, you said there are some questions we can ask to men to test for our pineapple compatibility without sleeping with them. For sure. What are some examples of questions we can ask? I'm wanting to wait till marriage, but I would still want to ask a future partner questions to make sure that we're on the same page. So, okay. One of the easiest places to start when it comes to compatibility questions is asking about their previous work, their previous experiences as it relates to sex. Okay. So for example, you're out with a guy, or you've been dating a guy for a while, right? And you ask him about, you know, how intimacy was with his ex-partner. What are some of the things that they did? What are some of the things that they tried? What are some of the things that they have never gotten a chance to try, or maybe had a desire to try and, you know, they just, for whatever reason, it didn't work out, or maybe their partner wasn't into it. When you can start getting into that conversation, because the ex conversation is a large umbrella that will consist of a whole bunch of smaller conversations. One of them is intimacy. What has intimacy been like in your past experiences with your past partners? Because understanding that will help me get an understanding of what you will be doing or have a desire to do here in this relationship. Okay. So that's number one. And there's so many questions you can ask about intimacy and what their experience has been like, what they didn't like, right? One of the great questions to ask as well is, what are some of the things they didn't like about their romantic or intimate experience with their past partner? So the reason I say that is because when you start asking what they didn't like, that's one of the things that people usually don't discuss with others, because if you think about it, when you're with that partner, it's very difficult to start talking to your partner about things that you don't like in the relationship, especially as it relates to sex, right? So one of the great questions to ask there is what they didn't like, so that they can get into some of the things that were not working in terms of intimacy in their past relationship. Those are things that could be adjusted. Now, the reason that I say to ask those type of questions is because you can get a really good understanding of where someone's freak level is at, what they're interested in, what they don't like, and see if that aligns with you and works for you. Even as a someone who's waiting for marriage, you said you're a virgin, right? Yeah, dating world as a virgin, right? Even as someone who's waiting for marriage, there can still be an understanding of like, hey, these are some of the things that I find interesting, or these are some of the things that I would be open to trying. Even as a virgin, you can still have those conversations and get an understanding if they're open to trying. Here's another big one. Let's even say in the scenario in which the guy that you're dating is also a virgin. The biggest key factor to understanding if you'll have any sort of compatibility is understanding if that man has a desire to please you in the bedroom, okay? Or just in general. Because if a guy goes into intimacy with the feeling that like it's all for my pleasure. And I really don't, not only do I not care if you're having pleasure, but I don't care to like investigate how I can give you better pleasure or learn how I can kind of like, do my tongue like this, how I can, touch you like that. Where are your spots? Where is the best for you? How do I get you the most aroused? If you find in your relationship the guy doesn't have that level of curiosity as it relates to your body and your mind and intimacy in general, that type of curious approach to be a better partner to you, intimacy wise, then you're not dealing with the right guy. And the intimacy doesn't even start with actually having sex. It's also about the way that you guys interact with each other, by touching your erogenous zones, massages. Like there's a bunch of stuff that comes before actually sleeping together that is also intimacy, that you'll start to get a sense of, okay, this guy wants to understand me, understand my body, understand my how I work, how I operate, how to get me aroused. And if he's not interested in that, and you don't see him taking like deep interest in trying to understand that, and you feel like you have to like push him or pull him to get him to be interested or care about that, you won't be compatible whatsoever. That's the easiest sign I could give you. At what point in the relationship / dating do you suggest I ask sexually compatible questions? How do I bring this up without seeming like it's an invitation to try that I'm trying to sleep with him? I'd probably say this is like date number 3 at the earliest, I should say, is when you should start coming into these type of questions, because you're right, you don't want to give the wrong perception, but you obviously want to start having more deeper conversations. You know what I mean? By date 3, at least you can confirm if date 3 is happening on a consistent basis, right? Like let's say you date one week, and then the next week you date, and then the next week another date. Now you can confirm, okay, there's a little bit of consistency here, right? We're starting to see some. Now we can start approaching different subjects that are a little bit deeper. You don't have to jump right into it. And I also don't need you to ask every question that is sexually related in one sitting, okay? You can ease into it and flow in and out of the subject and talk about something else. Then you ask this question, talk about something else, and then it can just be something that you ease into. And then you also see what his action towards it is over the course of time, right? So if you wanted a hard answer, I would say date number 3 if you wanted to get into those type of questions and that type of conversation. If I'm a virgin, but I've talked to many men who are not, how do you think this type of relationship would work? It would work perfectly fine, okay? That's not the first time that's happened. It won't be the last, okay? I'm concerned that in the future, if we do get married and have pineapples, that he will be comparing me to previous women he slept with. Also concerned that they might not take it as seriously as I do or view it as precious as I do. Am I doomed if I date a man who is not also a virgin? No, because for men, there's a trade-off, right? Men love freaky women, right? That's just a reality, right? Guys are going to love girls who get freaky. But there's a trade-off that mature men understand. If you get a girl that's super freaky, there's also a high likelihood, there's a high likelihood she's been with more people, right? So that's not a crime, but then you also have to be trading off as a man mentally. Are you okay with your woman being with more people, in order to be the freakiness level that, you don't have to do any work in teaching her anything? Because I'll just be real with you, as a man, it definitely is possible to meet women who are virgins or have less experience, and there's a freak in there. You just have to cultivate it and massage it before it actually comes out, which that's perfectly fine. And if I'm being real with you, I think most men would actually rather be with a virgin that they cultivate and, bring out the freak in her for the first time, as opposed to being with an already existing freak they don't have to teach. I know me, I don't mind teaching and cultivating, but, and I think that for most men, being able to be with a woman who's only been with you, but then you still get elements of that freakiness, so to speak, would be a great balance of being able to have the best of both worlds. So to answer your question blatantly, no, I don't think it's as much of an issue as you're imagining whatsoever. Would they compare you to past partners? I mean, sure. But at the same time, when a man matures to the point where he knows he wants to be in a long-term serious relationship, you put away childish things, okay, right? Like in the sense that like cool, I've slept with other women, but at the same time, I'm with this woman, and there's much more to the relationship than just sleeping with her. So there's still ways to enjoy your intimacy without necessarily, maybe you don't do everything that you've ever done with all other people, but you can definitely still enjoy intimacy with your wife, even if it's not as crazy as some of the other stuff that you've done. You know what I mean? But that comes with maturity as a man. What's your advice for setting boundaries with someone I really like without killing the vibe? You don't. You just set the boundary and you let a man decide if he is going to work with that in order to get access to you, or if he's too immature for those boundaries to, stick around for that. You can't be worried about how your boundaries make other people feel. You have to set the boundary, right? Straightforward. Set it how you want to set it so that you're comfortable, and let the guy decide whether he wants to continue on with you or not. If he doesn't, who cares? Kick rocks, right? That's your that's what your approach has to be. People and men get on your program if they want to get on your program, and if they want you. If it's too much for them, then they can go F off and do their own thing. So you can't be worried about how they feel about that. What are some good ways to build physical and emotional intimacy in a relationship without pineapples? I would say there's a great game. There's a great game that's called, it's called We're Not Really Strangers. Now, I wouldn't say like you should rely on it as a crutch to build emotional intimacy, but it asks some great emotionally charged questions that can help you get to know someone on a deeper level. I'd say with physical intimacy, you can always do things like tantric massages. Just think of it, massages with oil, baby oil, and music. Some good relaxing music. Getting your hands on each other is always a great way to start building that physical intimacy without actually doing, pineapple related things. Obviously, kissing, making out, tongue kissing. Try not to go overboard. Also, just even things like, it's going to sound weird, but like you can do things that are physical and intimate, like showering together. It doesn't have to be every time, but like showering together and, seeing each other in more vulnerable states that will bring you closer together. Also, skin to skin contact can be very physically and physically intimate, I should say. Skin to skin contact, like, sleeping naked, having even extended hugs in the bed, with just chest on chest. I know it sounds very kind of strange, but hugging naked is a really good way to build some physical intimacy. If you hug someone like bare skin on skin, like even no socks, for a long period of time, you might start crying. It's I've done it before. Not me crying, but like had done that, and you'll feel some things that you haven't felt before. Like just like silence, and just hug someone skin to skin, like naked. Like you, is going to sound weird. I'm going to be very graphic here. Sit on the edge of the bed. Or your guy sits on the edge of the bed, and then you sit facing him with your legs wrapped around him. And then both of you can be naked, however you want to do it, underwear, whatever. And then just hug skin to skin. Make sure at least your chests are like bare, that you can feel his chest on your chest. It's a very interesting feeling you'll feel. Okay. Okay, but that's physical intimacy without actually sleeping with her. Now, how early on in dating do you think I should mention that I'm waiting until marriage? I was thinking the second date. Does this sound good? Also, I want him to get a full panel STD test before we kiss, since many STDs can spread through saliva, but how and when do I bring this up? So if you're that serious about that, you might as well bring it up on the first date. What's the date, I should say? What's the point of talking about it on the second date? Now, here's the thing though. You can bring something up like this without saying you need to get an STD test tomorrow or else I'm not going to kiss you, right? There's a way to present the information where it's like, look, this is what my expectations are. You want to meet me there? You can meet me there. If it doesn't work for you, perfectly fine with me. So the way that you bring that up is by saying, when you guys are talking about the things that you want and all that other stuff, right? Like in relationships on the date, you can just be like, yeah, for me, I'm someone, I like living with intention. So I really don't see a purpose in dating people that I don't envision myself actually marrying, or without the intention of actually getting married. Because I know that I'm waiting for marriage. I'm waiting to sleep with my man until marriage. And I want to make sure he feels special and amazing during that time, and that I'm living with intention as it relates to who I give my body to. And it's so important to me that even things like, STDs and all this other stuff, like I want my relationship with my man to be pure. And you could just talk about that, right? You're talking about yourself and your own desires for your own life and your own future. When he's hearing that, he will make the assumption and make the connection that if I want to be in her life, I have to be in alignment with that. If I'm not in alignment with that, then I probably should not date her anymore. And I know that's scary because you're thinking, well, what if that guy doesn't like me or he doesn't want to date me after the first date? Cool. Great. Actually awesome, because you just wasted less of your time, right? You only went on one date with a guy, and then very quickly he was hearing what you're talking about that you want for your own life. And he's like, waiting till marriage? That's not what I'm here for. I'm out. And now you, instead of wasting 1 year, of your life with a guy who's not on the same page as you, you only wasted one date. And now you can get one step closer to finding the guy who you're actually going to be with, right? So I would say first date. Sometimes when I tell men that I'm waiting until marriage, they take it as a test to try and see how far they can get with me. How can I navigate and avoid this? Excuse me. You just observe their actions. When you tell a guy that you're waiting until marriage and you see that he's constantly trying to make you break that, that's obviously should be a sign to you, right? I'm not saying that guys don't have desires and they're not gonna, sometimes get horned up. But if you know on a regular basis, like he's always trying to push the boundary of getting one step closer to like sleeping with you, even though you've stated that you're not into that, then you know what he's really here for, at which point you act accordingly, right? That's not really something you're gonna be able to control as it relates to other guys. Also, some men almost get obsessed with the idea of me and that I'm a virgin. What do you suggest I can do to challenge him? But what if, see, how do I see who, I think you may say like, how do I see who is genuinely interested in me? It just comes with time. You can't expect to get all of the answers on the very first date. It comes with time and consistency. The hardest thing for men to do when they want to date you, or if they're pretending to like you or pretending to like you for the purpose of dating you, I should say, is to be consistent with you, because consistency takes the most time and the most energy, right? It's the most draining, especially if you're faking it. So all you need to worry about is giving yourself enough time to evaluate men on, a level playing field, if that makes any sense. I know you always talk about how you would say no to men, and specifically to say no to the first time a man asks something to kind of challenge him. But what if the first thing he asks for is not a number, it's to straight up ask for a date? How do I say no in a joking way that engages him and challenges him without saying no, LOL? You could say something like this, right? So he asked to take you out on a date initially. The first time he meets you, could say, I don't know. Should I go on a date with you? I literally just met you today. I don't know. Am I going to like you? You could be anyone. You could be Ted Bundy. I don't know what you're going to do to me on this date. I don't know where you're going to take me, right? This is how you can kind of play into it. I don't know where you're taking me. Where are you trying to take me? You could be trying to do something crazy to me. I don't know who you are. I just met you today. And then you use that space to let him sell you on, oh no, I'm going to take you to this nice place, or I got this idea, or we can do this, or no, it's going to be awesome, right? Like, let him sell you on something. And then you can say, you know what? I kind of do like that restaurant. I have been wanting to try that. I have been craving sushi, right? And you kind of almost make it seem like he's convincing you a little bit, right? That's the way to go about it in a fun, playful way. Trust me, when you're doing it the right way, you'll feel it, and the guy will feel it because he'll respond properly to it, okay? Should I tell him that he's my first boyfriend relationship when I eventually get into the relationship, first kiss? I'm not saying you need to lie about it, but I just don't think it's something that you need to as soon as you meet him, just by the way, I've never dated anyone in my life, so you're going to be my first boyfriend and you're going to be my first kiss and you're going to be my first, you don't need to. It makes it sound like you're compensating, right? Or you're trying to overcompensate by saying, please forgive me for the fact I have zero experience. Rather, as soon as you get on your first couple of dates, start talking about the fact how you like to live your life with intention. And so far in your dating life, you've never felt like any guy deserved to have that level of investment from you because they didn't show themselves to be worthy of that through their actions. And speak to that as the reason why, if there is a conversation about your first kiss or your first boyfriend, why you haven't had a boyfriend or a first kiss yet. Because you're not trying to just kiss anyone. You're not trying to just be in a relationship with anyone. Only when you see someone can be consistent and you see all the things that you're looking for in a relationship will you actually then allow a guy to get to that level with you. If you can present information like that from the beginning, you don't make the fact that you're a virgin seem like it's something that works against you. You actually make it seem, or you paint the narrative that the reason you're a virgin is because of intention and wanting to live your life with intention, which is very much more putting yourself in a position of power as opposed to saying, oh, please forgive me, I have no experience, I'm just a nobody, nobody wants me, right? That doesn't sound good. What should I say when men ask me when my last relationship was? Your sincere advice would be greatly appreciated. Like I just said, you speak towards the fact that you have not met a guy who you connected with on that level of depth and you felt actually was worthy of getting to that place of intimacy with you, or that level in a relationship with you, because you just didn't see any of the qualities that you were looking for or the consistency that you were looking for. And you just speak towards your intention and what you want in a relationship and how you haven't been able to come across that. And when you come across that, then that guy will be your first boyfriend, your first kiss, your first whatever, right? That painting that narrative is the most important part of being successful in a situation like that, okay? Next we have here B. Okay. B asked, am I open to date and fall in love? Hi, Tommy. It's the 48-year-old female that was hung up on a 53-year-old DJ. I still haven't contacted him, looked at his stream on social media, or reminded him of my existence. It's going to be 7 months strong now. Congratulations. Congratulations. I'm good. Stay strong. In your recent video, How to Know He's Open to Falling in Love, you mentioned if a man's desired career path is drastically different than where he is now, that he's not open to falling in love. Does that apply to women too? I'm currently working from home as a customer service job from home just to pay the bills, and I really don't like it. But my desired career path is tattoo artist. My lifestyle and hours will drastically change when I'm in my desired field. Does that mean I should wait until I'm stable in my desired career to date and be open to a relationship? I'll say yes and no at the same time, because no, from the standpoint for you, it's a little bit different because you're probably not going to be the breadwinner in your relationship. So you changing career paths less affects your ability to like provide in the relationship and be a breadwinner as it does the man. The reason career path is so important for men is because if he has to take a drastic change from what he's doing now to what he's going to be doing in the future or at some point, that's going to be a transitional period of him probably making no money or at least less money than he's making now to get to the point where he's properly where he's supposed to be career wise. That transitional period is going to make it so that he really can't date. You know what I mean? He's not going to be able to have the funds or the flexibility, time and energy wise, to be able to be in a relationship that requires more of his time and energy, because he's going to have to put so much focus into transitioning properly into this new stage of his life. And even when he gets there, there will be so many new elements that it might be hard to actually be a leader and be the man that he's supposed to be in the relationship. Larissa says, I donated in the premium. Don't worry, I'll answer yours after this as well. Okay, right? So that's why I say that. For the reason it also is a yes for you, kinda, sort of, is because even as a human being, when you go through these drastic changes, your desires can change. Your wants and your needs can change as a woman. I know it sounds very strange. Especially when you go from doing something you hate to doing something you love, you'll unlock a lot of parts of yourself that you never knew existed. And you'll start to, especially when you do it for your career, you'll start to be like, no, I can't do anything that doesn't, serve my real happiness. Not my job, not my friends, not my family. And you'll start to be like, I have to really care about everything that I do, like really actually care. The reason I say that it will change things is because you might date someone, and when you're in a place in your life where you're doing things and you're like, I just do it because I just do it. not because this is what I need to be doing or what I desire to do. And you transition into being in a place mentally where it's like, I only do things that I know serve a purpose in my life and have a purpose overall. You might change the type of guys that you're even attracted to. It might change that within you. And the same guys that you were attracted to before might actually be different now because of the different way your mental is and the different way you're living your life is. So I would advise you transition first, then date, because the way that you date will definitely be a lot different. And the type of people you'll be attracted to might actually also be different, if that makes any sense, right? You might find yourself not even wanting to date men who are not living their own life authentically, doing the things that they love. You might find yourself being unattracted to men who are going to do their own, 9 to 5 or just jobs that they're like actively hate, because you'll feel unfulfilled being around those type of people when you're in a different place mentally. Do you understand what I'm saying? Also, I think you mentioned it before. It's best for a guy to not date if he's struggling financially and broke. Does this apply to women too? Not as much, because obviously if you're not, a guy's courting you, right? So he's approaching you. I want to get to know you. I want to take you out. I want to kind of show you that I'm the man that you would want. And so that process of courting, obviously, like if he's saying, hey, let's go out on a date, he needs to have money to take you out on a date, not take you out and say you pay for the date. So that wouldn't make sense. For you as a woman, I'm not saying you have to be rich, be a millionaire, but you definitely do want to be at least stable enough to support yourself. If you find it difficult to I'm barely going to be able to pay my bills this month, or going to dinner right now, if I have to pay for dinner, it's going to be make or break for me if I have enough money in my account to make rent. Like, if you're in a place where your situation is that tight, you probably shouldn't be dating, because then you'll be dating from kind of like a place of fear. You'll find yourself being more attracted to men who can just literally give you more monetarily and financially than the guys who actually have the whole package. You'll overcompensate mentally in a relationship for a man who can get you gifts and, literally give you money, even at the expense of a guy who maybe doesn't treat you as well, not as consistent, doesn't bring all the other stuff to the table that you want, simply because you're in such a dire financial state, right? So it creates desperation in you that you don't want. I haven't even been flirting or talking to guys. Just ignore them and giving them the cold shoulder, because I feel like I need to get my finances and career in order first before I even look for a guy. Thanks, Tommy, for all that you do. I would say there's nothing wrong with that, because when you get this together first, you'll date with more confidence and you'll date with less desperation. You don't need a guy to pay for a whole bunch of stuff, right? Even though you might want a guy to be a provider, and maybe you might want to have a dream of being a stay-at-home wife, you're not dating with that desperation. You can take care of yourself. You can get your own Uber home if he starts acting weird. You can always take care of yourself, pay your own bill if he ever tries to act weird. Oh, let's go 50-50, right? You never have to compromise your safety. You never have to compromise your decision-making as it relates to choosing the right partner, choosing someone who treats you well, simply because you just need money or because you need a place to stay, right? Trust me, there's plenty of women who they don't have money, they don't have a job, they don't have a place to stay, so they end up with trash men who are able to offer them money or a place to stay. And those men, lo and behold, take advantage of the fact that that woman has absolutely nothing. They treat her like garbage, but then the woman can't leave because she needs a place to stay and she needs that money. She has no alternatives, right? So when you date, without having that desperation, you end up choosing way better partners, which just ends up you having more long-term happiness, if that makes any sense, okay? Let's see this question that you said. I missed one. Where's the question, though? Larissa, where is your question here? I don't see it. Is it this? Brazilian girl? What the hell? Okay, I think it was this. I think it was this. Or was it? Yeah, it must have been this. Okay, what the hell? Brazilian baby girl. Hello, Tomisin. Hello, chat. I donated. I'm a 26-year-old woman, and I've been seeing a 33-year-old guy I met on a dating app for about 3 weeks now. From the beginning, he's been the one that initiated conversations every day and didn't take as long to ask me out. He's been very intentional and takes the lead when it comes to planning dates, which I appreciate. So far, we've been on 2 dates. The first one was lovely. He made a dinner reservation at a nice restaurant and we had some wine. At the end of the night, he paid for the bill, drove me home, and gave me a quick peck on the lips. Excuse me. At the end of the night, he paid. On our second date, he invited me to an Italian movie festival. There was no physical contact during the film, just a sweet moment when he held my hand. I didn't feel any pineapple pressure. Everything felt very respectful and comfortable. He's been an absolute gentleman. He's funny, intelligent, cultured, well-mannered, communicates clearly, has gentle eyes, smells good, and we share many of the same interests. He also seems to like me a lot. More than I like him, honestly, which is the dynamic I prefer. He works as an experienced software developer at a tech company and is 1.86 meters, 6'1". Comes from a good family background and is currently studying software engineering at one of the top universities in my city. On our first date, I asked him, where do you see yourself in 5 years, and his answers checked all the boxes. I hope to buy an apartment, finish school, and be in a long-term relationship. So far, so good. But there are two things that I'm not entirely comfortable with, and I'd love your honest perspective. His weight and lifestyle. He's a little overweight, and by a little, I mean he's around 120 kg, 264 pounds at 6'1". I honestly don't mind a dad bod, as you North Americans can call it, but I feel like his weight is varying on an unhealthy range. So how old is he? 33. Okay, 33. Dad bod. According to him, the gain was fairly recent and related to hyperthyroidism. So from my understanding, that's a condition with your thyroid that his hormones are out of whack that causes him to gain weight excessively, from my understanding of what that is, which he's currently treating. He was upfront about it from the beginning and is quite self-aware. He doesn't like to work out, but he mentioned he started going to the gym and is thinking about hiring a personal trainer and a nutritionist. I've been consistently going to the gym for nearly 10 years, and physical health is something I take seriously. I wouldn't say I have a perfect figure, but I do have a nice, slim, thick body, and I worry this might become a point of incompatibility for us. That said, all of my friends have encouraged me to give him a chance since he's working on it and clearly has many great other qualities. One friend said not to worry about it because weight is something that can be lost. I do think he has a very handsome face and strong features. Honestly, I think he'd look amazing if he slimmed down a bit. Still, I wonder, am I being superficial for not liking it? What's your perspective? I love your brutal, honest opinion on this. So, one thing you can't lie to yourself about is what you are or aren't attracted to. If you find that you're not attracted to the way that he looks, then you have to just be real about that. But if you're saying it's just, somewhere where you're thinking, hey, I would love it if he were to slim down, the best thing for you to do is for you to show him the lifestyle that you're living and allow him to grow an interest in what you're doing, and subsequently, because he's interested in you, he ends up doing that thing with you. For example, right? Like you start talking about the workouts that you're doing or how you're sore, or you start sending him videos of you at the gym, or you say, hey, would you love to go for a run with me? Would you love to, maybe come to the gym? I'm talking about like as time goes on and you guys are dating more and more, right? And you recommend these things, or you even talk about how fun it would be to go on a hike together and things like that. Then let, the joy of being around each other also become like, hey, let's work out together, right? And that can be something that you guys bond over. The reason I say the best way to do it is to ease it into his life and allow that to naturally become his lifestyle as well, is because you don't want it to be like, oh, I need you to lose weight, right? And then even if he does that, he ends up losing the weight for you as opposed to losing the weight for himself. You want that if he becomes a health nut or a fitness freak or whatever the case may be, you want it to be because he naturally started to fall in love with it himself, fall in love with, dieting, drinking protein shakes, fall in love with seeing his own gains or whatever the case may be, right? Seeing the changes in his body. But that can really only happen if you kind of let him discover it a little bit for himself. And the best way to do that is just to show him the lifestyle that you're living, and then let that be his introduction to it in a less intimidating way. And as he gets introduced to it, he'll start to maybe ask you more questions about it. Hey, how do you do this? I was looking at that. I see you were doing this. And then you can, as he's asking you these questions, you can explain to him more. Yeah, so I do this at the gym and I do that. I would love to, let's, hang out, and I could show you this and I could show you that if you want. And I could send you this video. And then as you begin to make it like, oh yeah, I'm down to help you and be a part of this, then the journey becomes something that can be more fun and enjoyable for both of you. And then you both win, right? You get to spend more quality time together while he also takes care of his health. He'll feel better about himself. You'll feel more attracted to him because he looks better, and then everyone wins that way. What you don't want though is you don't want to the same way he shouldn't be pineapple-y pressuring you. You don't want to pressure him in the sense of making him feel like, oh, you need to go to the gym for me or else I'm not going to be attracted to you, right? Like it's going to put fear in the sense that gym is going to be something that brings him trauma as opposed to being something that he loves to do. You know what I mean? That's how you kind of have to ease it into someone's life like that. Okay. But what you're attracted to is what you're attracted to. I also wouldn't say, so he's 6'1", 264, depending on how he's built, right? Obviously he might be a little bit overweight. He could also carry it in a better way, at 6'1". But I get what you mean about him being overweight and then the lifestyle choices, right? So, definitely something that, to keep track of, keep your eye on. I wouldn't say though that that's a deal breaker. To be honest, if you were asking me if I think that's a deal breaker from all the other things that you're mentioning, I think a man being overweight is the least of your worries for all the other things that could be going wrong in a relationship. I'm not saying it can't be a problem for you, but I don't think it's breakup offense worthy. He's never been in a serious relationship and has a very limited pineapple experience. I'm not sure if he's a virgin, but it sounds close to that. When I asked him about it, he explained that he's always been insecure around women and ended up missing out on important experiences. He's been going to therapy and said he's made a lot of progress. Also, so this is actually good because that means he's interested in making progress in his life. That's a good point to think about there, because someone who's interested in getting better and doing better will be interested in that in other aspects of their life, like going to the gym, taking better care of their body, right? Because it's a mental thing. Some people, they don't give a damn. Like they don't care about bettering themselves, doing better. They just get by with the bare minimum. Some people are like, take the approach of, I want to be better. I want to get better. I want to grow, right? And if they have that approach, then it usually bleeds into other parts of their life. So that's a good thing to think about there. Also, I'm not sure, but his insecurity seems to revolve around relationships with women. With other things, he actually sounds and acts like a confident man. We talked about this in the car after the... What the hell? Sorry, chat. Oh, sorry, there's a... I'm like, what was that? Sorry, it's an alarm. Okay, let's finish this off here. He actually spends a lot of time confident. We talked about this in the car after the second date, and he was very vulnerable. I'll admit I was a little surprised. I think he noticed because he held my hand, looked in my eyes, and said, "Listen, I really like you, and if you want, I'd love to keep seeing you." That's so sweet. Aw. I didn't say I liked him back. Then he kissed me. He seemed nervous, but we made out and it was actually great, sweet and respectful, with no wandering hands. Still, I felt a bit unsettled. Why would a tall, smart, polite, educated, soon-to-be software engineer with a promising career in tech have such limited experience and nervousness at 33? I find it hard to chalk it up to entirely personality and shyness. Could it only be insecurity or something more concerning like ED or micro PP? Please, Tomisin, I'm open to being with a man who's inexperienced, but I can't deal with the micro PP. Jokes aside, I understand that we all carry our own issues and past wounds. No one enters a relationship perfectly unscathed. Lord knows I bring my own share of emotional baggage too. I just hide it better than him, I suppose. Regardless, what should I be observing? What questions can I ask to understand what might actually be going on? Is it worth it? Thanks so much in advance. I'm really enjoying getting to know him, but I want to stay realistic and aware as things develop. One more question below. Okay, so I'll do this one first. So with the ED, this is actually a pretty simple fix here. If you guys are making out, I know it's gonna sound weird. Next time you guys are having a makeout session, feel over his pants. Hopefully he's wearing sweatpants. Even if he's wearing tighter pants, just try and feel over it. Feel if you can feel some girth there, some tonnage, some size there. Okay. If you can't, we might have to have some conversations here. If you can feel something there and you know it's there and you're like, okay, it just, at least feels like a decent size, then you're fine. Okay. Once you felt it, I don't think you have any more questions there, right? And you're good. So that's really the answer to your question right there. So, someone said jeans will ruin this. Well, you got some girth, you got some tonnage. I think that even jeans can't hide that. You got some girth going on. Okay, unless I'm mistaken. Okay, but as long as you can feel something there, I don't think you should have a problem. I'm assuming, right? Unless you were freaked out, you want that big 8-9 incher. As it relates to the nervousness, you have to understand too. Some guys spend so much time on career, so much time like. I guess we can call them nerds in the sense that like they're very book smart. They, know how to make money. They might make good money, have a good, well-paying job, and even be good in other aspects of being a man. They just don't have like game. Like, guys, it's levels, right? Guys all have some traits, that could be really exaggerated, some traits less than others, right? So some guys you might meet that they're, fairly attractive men. They have good jobs. They're not weird or strange. It's just, when it comes to game, being able to spit game to girls, talk to girls, be super charismatic, not every guy is going to be that. It's just not realistic. So some guys, they just don't have the charisma. Doesn't mean they're bad guys, but without the charisma, they might be a little bit more nervous, around women. And because they're like, oh, I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want to do the wrong thing. I want to make sure like I'm presenting myself, properly. Not every guy is going to have the utmost of confidence. Oh, my D game crazy girl. Not every guy's going to have daddy energy. Okay. That's just the reality of life. Okay. So if you still find yourself attracted to him, you like him, and you're good with your relationship, it's fine if he's a little bit nervous around you, a little bit shy around you, and doesn't have the ultra daddy energy. As long as he's intentional, right? There's a difference between being like so passive, so shy that he can't even ask you out on a date. That's not going to work. But if he's intentional with you, he's still capable of being like, hey, I want to see you, which he said it to your face, right? I want to see you. I like you. I want to date you. He asks you out and he calls you. He texts you, like he does the initiating. Then you're perfectly fine, right? I don't think you need to read too deeply into it. That's enough at least to work with. Okay. Our second date was yesterday, and today he invited me to work out with him during the week. So exactly what I was saying. Did you just put this now? That's exactly what I was saying. We live in the same neighborhood and we go to the same gym, by the way. So what's the problem? I think it's a bit much. Should I accept? Thank you. No, I think actually for what you want, going on a workout date would be perfect for you guys to go out together and get a chance to like make working out a part of your lifestyle together and a part of what you guys regularly do together, because it's going to get him more hyped up to do the workouts when, you can turn into, for him, Brazilian baby girl. You have a Brazilian butt lift, Brazilian baby girl. You can turn into his accountability partner. So this will be a great time when you guys go out on this workout to start talking about being each other's accountability partner. Oh, maybe every time we go to the gym, we should send each other a photo or a video of us at the gym and, be each other's accountability partner, where we make sure you're supposed to do this. How much weight did you do? Okay, I did this. Okay, what's your goals? Is your goal to lose weight? Okay, I'm going to hold you to that. What'd you eat today? Show me we'll share each other's MyFitnessPal. Okay, what'd you weigh in today, right? Like and make it kind of fun. Like, okay, we're going to hold each other accountable to get to our goals and reach our goals, right? So now you're adding an extra element to the relationship that can bring you guys closer together, give you guys an opportunity to have more quality time, but accomplishes your goal as well, which is to get him in the gym, trying to be more focused on his health, losing a little bit more weight, and then you end up more attracted to him and everyone wins. So I'm so happy that he invited you to a work. Do not deny this one. Say yes to this one, execute it, and then bring up the accountability partner idea and make that like a reoccurring thing. If you can center your relationship around fitness, mental and physical health, that will be great for you in the future of your successful relationship with him. Okay? All right, chat, that's the show for today. For those of you who have any questions for me, feel free to ask me, whether it be in our private section, our premium section, or the free section if you want as well. You guys can always ask me questions. I'll be honest with you. Sometimes you guys, I get a lot of DMs on Instagram. So I can't answer everyone's DM on Instagram. If you really want your question answered by me, you got to go through one of the channels. The best and quickest way to do that is honestly the private relationship question. Because I check those every day and I try to address those every day. So that's the best way if you really have a real serious question for me to get your question answered. I get so much DMs, guys. I can't answer every DM. Okay. For those of you who want to follow me on Instagram, my Instagram is just above my head on the top left corner of the screen. Tomisin_Tubbs. You can follow me there. Okay, you can see everything that I'm doing. For those of you, there is no TikTok today, so I was gonna say for those of you watching on TikTok. For those of you who want to rewatch the show, you have it here because you're all watching on YouTube. Okay. I'm here every Monday and Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I'll see you again on Thursday at 4 p.m. EST. Until we meet again, I bid you adieu, arrivederci, au revoir, hasta la vista, sayonara, ciao, salam, adios. Baoni, bon voyage, and I'll see you again on Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I love you a lot.